Welcome to Peter and Roughie's Saturday Football Show as we look across football right across Great Britain for the next 4 hours. We're on STV Edinburgh and STV Glasgow, and the emphasis very much on Scottish football. Alan Rough, Gordon Smith and Frank McAvenny are our guests on the panel this Saturday afternoon to take you through the next 4 hours, and it is 4 hours where basically in Scotland Storm Desmond has decimated the football card. A number of games called off after early pitch inspections. Here's the fixtures as it stands at the moment to let you have a look. Dundee 0, Aberdeen 2 in the early kick-off. That match did go ahead. Aberdeen in complete control in that game. Celtic against Hamilton, Hearts against Inverness and Partick Thistle against Motherwell. Those matches postponed. Kilmarnock against Dundee United with the all-weather pitch is A-OK, and Ross County against St Johnstone gets the all clear there as well. So that's how it looks in the Premiership. What about the Championship? Let's have a look at the games that have fallen foul of the weather, and of all of the games, our intrepid reporter Derek Clark, I think, has visited every ground there, getting a postponement at every one that he's been visiting. So whether he gets to Alloa Dumbarton is, well, anybody's guess really, but he's certainly a tripper today. What about the League 1 and League 2? Because there weren't too many fixtures on. There are Scottish Cup matches, of course, today as well. Albion Rovers Stranraer called off. Dunfermline Brecon City is on. East Stirling against Clyde postponed, and Stirling Albion against Elgin City gets the go ahead. Let's have a look at the English Premiership today. Of course, the absolute bonus here is that most of these matches will go ahead, so we'll keep you up to date with them. But look at that scoreline from Stoke against Manchester City. Arnautovic has scored both goals. Stoke lead the league leaders by 2-0. Later on today, it's Manchester United West Ham, Southampton Aston Villa, Swansea against Leicester, Watford Norwich, West Brom Tottenham, and Chelsea against Bournemouth is the 5:30 kick-off. So that's what we've got to look forward to this afternoon. Hopefully these guys are in a chatty mood, because I'm sure the games falling foul of the weather may well have affected their opinion on these games. Certainly it's affected the predictions from Roughie and myself. We'll only get 2 games really left to predict this afternoon, and Dundee against Aberdeen. Roughie, 2 goals to the good at the moment. Aberdeen are absolutely cruising, and I'm so disappointed with what Dundee have to offer.
Yeah, Dundee managed to scrape a draw last week, but I think the form hasn't been very good as lately, and I think Paul knows that. He's tried to change his formation a couple of times, but again he's went for his strikers, and quite rightly so. He should be trying to win games rather than trying to draw them. So, and unfortunately for him, Aberdeen have turned up, and when you go 2 goals up, they're usually a team that can see out the game. Yeah,
in the first half, I mean, I would not like to have beaten Gordon Smith in that dressing room with Paul Hartley, because quite simply they didn't show up. They were second to every ball. Aberdeen looked as if they could have scored at will.
They did. You wouldn't even have thought Aberdeen were the away team, because they were controlling the game, and I think that they went with an attacking lineup, Dundee, because they're at home. They've got Loy, obviously Stewart and Hemmings, all capable of scoring goals, but there was no service to them at all. They couldn't get them in the game. Aberdeen were controlling the game, and as Roughie said, I mean, Dundee are a great run, and he's right. The last 8 games, Dundee have played, they've had 6 draws and 1 win and 1 defeat. So I mean, although they've not been losing a lot of games, 6 draws out of 8 isn't the best of form. And today, I thought maybe the best they'll get would be another draw, but as I say, not in terms of how they played today.
Well, after a shaky spell, Aberdeen are suddenly back on track. 7 points from the last 3 fixtures, Frank.
Well, we knew that would happen. They had a dip, and everyone was writing them off, and Derek McInnes was getting a bit of stick, and it's they had to turn it, because they're decent. They're a decent team. They've got players that are comfortable on the ball, and they're all wanting to hold it at the moment. And Dundee's not got. They look slow, and pretty much ordinary compared to the Aberdeen team at the moment. There's only 12 minutes to go, 11 minutes to go, and it's another 3 points for them, and it's pleasing, because you need your teams like Aberdeen to challenge, and hopefully put a challenge into Celtic.
It puts them in that little gap as well. It gives them the 4-point gap each way. They go 4 points behind Celtic by winning today and 4 above Hearts, so it puts Aberdeen back in that strong position. And some people may say, offering a challenge against Celtic, a game in hand, obviously.
They've got. It's what they're doing is they're fighting with Hearts at the moment for second spot, and it's good. It's good competition there.
Yeah, if you're talking about star players for Aberdeen, Johnny Hayes and Niall McGinn are the two outstanding players in this match, Roughie?
Yeah, Johnny Hayes has been tremendous the last 2 years. When we went to see them initially, they were playing him at fullback, and then he now can play in the centre of the midfield. He can play out wide, and the thing he's got that a lot of them haven't is pace, and he's got that killer pace that like Michael O'Halloran's got. He can go by people for fun, and he's scoring goals as well. And when you've got somebody like that in your team, it's always a big asset.
I think one of the big good buys was McLean from St Mirren. He's just settled into the team, and he doesn't look out of place, and they're all comfortable. The midfield of Aberdeen are all comfortable on the ball, and Willow Flood just looks as if he's controlling it.
Yeah, and I think they put Shinnie more in an attacking position today as well. They put him in midfield and brought in Considine.
Yeah.
And Shinnie is a player that's capable of playing full-back or midfield.
Okay, coming up after the break, we'll look at some of the stories in the newspapers this morning, and of course some of the headlines from the last 7 days in Scottish football, and we'll also tease you with a few questions you might know the answers to over the course of the next 4 hours. Have a bit of chat with these guys, bit of banter. Here's a question for you to take you into the break. Who scored Celtic's goal in their last Europa League match against Ajax? Didn't work out too well for Ronnie Dyler's men, and of course Fenerbahce are on the horizon on Thursday. But who scored Celtic's goal in the last encounter against Ajax, which ended up in a 2-1 defeat? If you know the answer to that, then give yourself a pat on the back. We'll give you the answer right after this break, with more football chat on the way. Welcome back to Peter and Roughie's Saturday Football Show. We posed you a question just prior to the break, and it was basically who scored Celtic's goal in that 2-1 defeat to Ajax in the Europa League. If you think you know the answer, give yourself a pat in the back. If you said Callum McGregor, it was a cracking goal to set Celtic on their way. What looked as if it was going to be a night of celebration, but it all turned sour towards the end of it, and Celtic have that journey to Turkey to face Fenerbahce on Thursday. We'll talk about that. We'll undoubtedly talk about some of the other stories over the course of this week in Scottish football and beyond. We'll be looking at the Barclays Premier League as well, where there's a shock scoreline at the moment. Gordon Smith 2-0 to Stoke City against Manchester City.
Yeah, my old team sitting top of the league going into the game today, and suddenly find themselves, against a team mid-table. You would expect, Man City will get hard games from the teams up in the top part, but I didn't expect that today. And obviously being outplayed, losing today, and it gives other teams an opportunity to get above them. So they're not been consistent, Man City, it has to be said. So that's a pretty bad scoreline, and it will be a bad result if it turns out and they end up they lose that game.
Yep. Let's give you the Ross County side against St Johnstone today. Just coming in, it's Woods and goal. Boyce, Martin Woods, Davies, Curran, Murdoch, Dingwall, Fraser, Irvin, Foster and Boyd. We'll bring you the St Johnstone team very shortly indeed. There is a game that's going on with an all-weather pitch down at Rugby Park, and thankfully we've got a reporter down there. The other one's doing his rounds at the moment, but Craig Turnbull is down there for Kilmarnock's match against Dundee United. Craig.
Just managed to make it here in one piece, Peter, despite the weather. Storm Desmond has certainly been causing havoc across the country, but these two sides could barely blow themselves out of a paper bag with their struggles in recent weeks. Mixu sees his United side 7 points adrift at the bottom of the table, and he certainly didn't hold back when he described them as clueless and spineless. Perhaps Cinema Pongal can be the player that can help them get desperately shot in the arm for United. For Kilmarnock, well, they aren't plain sailing either. They've lost 4 of the last 5 games at Rugby Park, and Captain Mark Conley has said that they're suffering from a mental block in front of their home fans after Partick Thistle became the third side this season to score 4 or more goals here at Rugby Park. So an intriguing battle awaits here. It's a game that both teams can really ill afford to lose. The team news coming up shortly here from Rugby Park.
Thanks to Craig. The St Johnstone side is Manus, Mackay, Scobie, Miller, Davidson, McLean, Wotherspoon, Shaughnessy, Fisher, Craig and O'Halloran. O'Halloran clearly man of the moment. Mackay, he's picked up the player of the month.
Yeah, quite rightly so. His performance has been outstanding, and you want players with that kind of ability to shine, and the boy's doing it, and good luck to him, and long may he get his all the credit, because it's well deserved, Peter.
Yep, and he's one of those players. As soon as we get somebody who's managed to get on some kind of consistent run, we're trying to punt him away to another league, Gordon.
Well, he's been down in England already, and he's come back up, hasn't he? So he is a good player. He's playing well. There was only one thing when they were giving him all the credit earlier on in the season. I checked on him, and he said some great goal scoring form. And at the time when I checked, he hadn't scored a single league goal. But the day I mentioned it, he scored that day, and he scored the next game. So I think he's got a couple now. But it's not just about his goals, though. He is a very creative player. The night I saw him in the flesh when they played Rangers in the League Cup, and he was a player that Rangers couldn't handle that night. He was so quick, sharp, coming through from midfield. I thought he did a really good job, and I think that from that point of view, I think he's a player. St Johnstone will want to hold on to him, but if he continues to improve the way he is, then there will be a possibility that other clubs, English clubs, will come back in from him.
Yep, St Johnstone deserve all the credit. Alan Archibald, Roughie, picked up the Manager of the Month. He said he was a little embarrassed by that award, because he thought maybe Tommy Wright was deserving of that award when you consider the form St Johnstone have been in.
Yeah, but no, I think he should have just taken it. He's had a turbulent 2 years, and been down the bottom of the league and the pressures you've got to handle down there, and at one stage this season it looked as if he was maybe going to lose his job, as well as some other managers that were losing it, but the board held firm, and I think they're beginning to get the rewards now, and it'll be encouraging that they got the 5 goals last week, but he'll have wanted to sort of the game at Motherwell today, you'd want that game to play that game. You wouldn't want that game to be off. You'd want to go in there and try and get on a wee run.
It'd been interesting, Peter, with the 4 bottom teams playing against each other today if the Partick Motherwell game had gone ahead, you know what I mean? Because I said, we were talking about last week, saying Dundee United's next 4 games are against all the teams. I think it's Partick Thistle next they've got. So that's they've got in this game today with Dundee and Kilmarnock is your proverbial 6-pointer, isn't it?
Yeah.
One that Dundee United don't want to lose, because that gives one of their rivals a kick on away from them. So Dundee United need to get down there, I think, get a result today.
I think so, and it's Mitch who doesn't mess about with his words when he's praising his team.
I'll be interested to, just on that point, Mac, I'll be interested to see what type of football Dundee United play, because we had Ziggy Gordon on the show last night, and again Dundee United are resorting, Macca, to the way Kilmarnock used to play when Mixu was the manager there. Quite simply, that goalkeeper is told, do not kick that ball long, lay it out to your fullbacks who come wide on either side. And immediately, the one thing that I remember from the Kilmarnock days is teams look and go, let's press them up here. Let's see if they can lose the ball. And I think Ziggy mentioned that Hamilton Accies got one of their goals out of a mistake.
Of course, well, if they're wanting to get it, come up to the box, the edge of the box, and get off the keeper, they just close them down. And that's what they're doing. But you've got to do that as a team, and as you say, teams are doing that. And Mitch has got to, I think he's got to change it up, because he's got to start winning ugly. You know, even if it means that. He's just he's got a couple of big players. I don't know if they'll play. But he's got players there that's big lumps, and don't mean that the wrong way, but they're big boys, muscular, that will get in the middle and they can get control of the ball. So
what you said, Peter, is absolutely true. I used to see come out in those days, and they were really good to watch. But they did take chances. He allowed these players to do it. He allowed defenders to take the ball in dangerous areas, and a lot of people think that's wrong to do. But
it's risky.
It is risky, and there was once or twice, I remember games. There was one game I think against Rangers or Celtic. I can't remember which one it was, and I think they lost 3 goals by getting caught in possession on the edge of their own box.
Yeah, that's fine if you're Roughie, if you're mid-table and looking for aspirations of top 6. Not when you're sitting bottom, cut adrift and thinking we've got to try. And as Macca says, it's the old Alex McLeish line: win ugly.
Yeah, but the other thing as well is, if you're going to play that style of football, you need to have the players that are comfortable on the ball. I remember we went to St Mirren once, and St Mirren were doing it, and the goalkeeper was throwing the ball out to Jim Goodwin, and there was distress signals all over the place. You can actually physically say, "Whoa, I don't really want this." Somebody else.
You see the crowd ducking as well.
A bit to see what Kilmarnock do, because Kilmarnock, then you would think to yourself, they've had them watched or whatever, they'll realise that's the game today. I would imagine, I might be wrong in this, I think Chris Boyd will come back in for Kilmarnock today. I think they'll make changes and they'll go with an attacking line-up, Kelly, in order to try and capitalise on that. Now, I wouldn't be surprised when we get the team lines today if Chris Boyd's back in the Kilmarnock team.
Yeah, no surprise actually that Aberdeen in the end have won their match by 2-0. It could have been so much more, and I think as Gordon mentioned there, that's a chance to close the gap on Celtic. Their match against Hamilton Accies called off after a 9:15 pitch inspection this morning. Celtic Park, difficult conditions inside the ground but also outside as well. Huge puddles after Storm Desmond. I'd love to have been the guys in the weather control who sat down and come up with, let's call it Desmond. let's call this tornado last night. It was a worrying one. You know, one of those, Roughie, you think you're not going to get to sleep. I could hear the wind howling outside, and I thought this is going to be one of those days today when games are not going to go on. And again, you know, realistically, some people are travelling so early in the morning. I mean, I think one man said that he was heading, you know, his crew were heading out at 6:30 to go to a game. You know, people travel over from Ireland for games for Celtic and Rangers as well.
Because they've travelled over maybe last night, or they'd have got there this morning early doors, 8 o'clock, so it wouldn't have been called off at that time, and too late they're on the flights and on the boats. Yeah,
plus I always think the weather, if anything, high winds, Roughie, spoils football.
Yeah, as a footballer, I could play in any conditions, but wind was always the one that I struggled against. You know, it's you can't predict where the ball's going to go for a start. Heavy rain, didn't have a problem with it.
Yeah. I think it would have been too bad.
It would have been too bad at Celtic Park.
You should have a gauge up at Arbroath.
After a certain wind speed, the game should be called off. I believe that.
Absolutely.
I don't think it would have been too bad at Celtic Park because it's all enclosed. The wind wouldn't have been. It was just a pitch.
Hampden used to be bad. Hampden was bad with the wind coming through the 4 corners. I mean, you would think it was okay, and then all of a sudden it was.
Was it windy in Peru?
Well, gale force. Gale force. It's funny, that day was probably the worst day of weather in Argentina. They never had one. You couldn't have seen it on the television, you really had to be there to see how bad it was.
It was Hurricane Roughie.
Well, with that in mind, I have to highlight to you, if there was one match that I was praying that we didn't really have to go to, it was Alloa Dumbarton. No disrespect to the clubs, but it's just that Alloa's technology hasn't quite caught up with the rest of Scotland, and the signals from there for technology are abysmal. So we're trying our best to get Derek out there. Derek Clark, Alloa against Dumbarton. Alloa's side: Andy McNeil in goal, Michael Doyle, Mick Ryntam, Robbie Crawford, Colin Hamilton, Burton O'Brien, Eddie Ferns, Graham Holmes, Michael Duffy, Mark Williams and Connor McManus starting for Alloa. Mark Brown in goal for Dumbarton, Mark Docherty, Kevin Colley, Gary Fleming, Willie Gibson, Darren Barr, John Routledge, Jamie Lindsay, Stephen Craig, Scott Brown and Fraser Wright. I mean, when you look at those two sides, Dumbarton have got a lot of experience, Roughie, and I'm amazed that they're finding it difficult this season.
I'm amazed as well. You know, that you would think with that bit of experience they would have, they'd be able to get some decent results together, but they're not. They're on a desperate run. And for the beginning of the season, they did a couple of good results, but ever since then, it's just went
one win in the last 8 games.
Downwards.
One win in 8 league games. But you take Alloa, no wins in the last.
Well, they would have won. They would think they would go there today and get something out of that game, because I think Alloa are definitely on free fall.
Do you know the funny thing is the only league win Alloa have had this season was actually against Dumbarton. That was the only match they've actually won in the league. They won 2-0 at Dumbarton. So I'm interested to see how it goes today, because this is, again, once we've talked about it before, Peter, this is your 6-pointer again, isn't it, today? It's the two teams that are separated by 6 points the league. If Dumbarton can beat them today, that makes it a 9-point gap, and it becomes tougher for Alloa, no doubt about that. They'll need to win this game today, I think, Alloa as well.
I don't think we're putting our necks on the line suggesting that Alloa are gone.
Well,
is that bad? Are we going to get a lot of
even if they win
Even if many people for Alloa's watching.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even if they win, they're gone. I think they're just not got a team to get anything.
Even if they win, Macca, you're a hard man by
I know. They won't be able to email us and complain, Peter.
Sorry?
They won't be able to email us and complain about it.
No, absolutely not, because there's no signals getting out of Alloa as we speak. And believe me, the technology we have for it, I'm absolutely amazed that we can't get a signal. But nevertheless, we will try and endeavour. We'll go back to Rugby Park very shortly to give you the teams from Kilmarnock against Dundee United. Ross County against St Johnstone does indeed go ahead as well, so we can look forward to that, as of course we can look forward to the games that do get the go ahead in the lower leagues. Not too many of them. We'll be looking at the Barclays Premier League as well. I think Manchester City have less than 10 minutes now to try and salvage something from the game against Stoke City. What a good win that will be for Mark Hughes' side. Arnautovic has scored both goals. They lead Manchester City by 2-0, and for all the investment that's been coming in from Chinese investors in Manchester City, it hasn't quite managed to transfer itself onto the park as far as goodwill or indeed quality, because they are 2-0 down and facing defeat there. That top of the table, I'm going to pose this question to you, Macca. I think Liverpool can win that title.
Yeah, well, they're there. You know, as soon as Klopp took the job, everything changed in Liverpool. It was the atmosphere, everything just became, they were all happy, and they're just going out there, and he's got an impression so high up the pitch, and if they don't do it his way, he said, if they don't do it my way, they're out. Simple as that. And it's good when you know where you stand with a manager, and they all seem to be enjoying themselves, and he's got strikers. He's got the boy that scored the hat-trick the other night. He couldn't score a goal, and Sturridge is back. And he's got a problem. Yeah, tomorrow I think it is they're playing in. Does it bring, does it play the two of them, play one, or they've got a number of strikers down there. They're going to have to leave some of the big names out.
Well, he's got a problem for tomorrow. You're right, Mac.
It's not the hardest of games, though.
Sorry?
It's not the hardest of games, Peter.
No, I was going to say the biggest problem is, will it be 3-0 or 4-0 for them, because they're at Newcastle, and Newcastle are so poor it defies belief. I mean, I just wonder what's breaking point there for Steve McLaren trying to get something out of that squad of players.
Well, I've seen McDonald was on, Super Mac was on this morning, and I was listening to him. I was watching him on TV, and he was saying it goes right through the club. He says it was rotten. He says that words. He says it's not the manager or anyone, it's the whole club. He says everything, the recruitment, everything's terrible. They're bringing in all the French players, and I don't think half of the people have seen them.
Yeah.
You know, and they're coming over here, and you know, they might have been good, but they're not doing the due diligence, as he called it, and watching them to make sure they can come over here and play.
There's a lot to be said, though, Gordon, for you know, looking at the Newcastle structure, and as Malcolm McDonald may well have said, they're rotten to the core. If you look at that structure at Newcastle and look at the structure now at Hearts, you know, you look at having people on the board who have got the club at heart.
Yes.
They're all in the you know, fighting in the same direction, pulling in the same direction. They all want the best for the club, and that goes from the youth policy, the recruitment policy, how they run the club, how they conduct themselves. I mean, I've got nothing but respect for Anne Budge, because as soon as there was even any hint of bad behaviour from fans, banned, nipped in the bud right away, and a message sent out to people: we want families here, we want to get families to watch Hearts. And of course now you've got the great news in midweek that they're planning to develop the old main stand. Yeah,
huge crowds are getting, you're absolutely right. It seems to be, they've had a bit of foot wrong. Anne Budge has come in, and she came in with a great idea too, because she came in to take the club over, Peter, in order that the club could be taken over by the supporters down the line. She put the money up to make it available in order they got time then to raise their money themselves and have a fan takeover. Now I think that will happen, which is obviously already prepared, but I think Anne Budge will stay on, because I think they'll want her to stay on, because as you say, she's been a very, very good person in terms of, you know, the profile for the club, just as a front person, what she's done, ideas she has, and the club have benefited greatly from it, and they're running forward. And Newcastle don't have that.
She should do that. She should get and take charge of Scottish football, because somebody like that could, you know, could do a lot better than what they're doing at the moment, Peter. That's for sure.
Exactly, Frank. You know why? Because she doesn't see it from the point of view of just been in at the club. I've been in football all these years and just seen it in the football way. She's looking at it as from an outsider and thinking that's the way it should be done. That's the way, and that's sometimes what football. One of the problems football has. A lot of the people who are making decisions and deciding on those decisions.
They're dinosaurs, aren't they? They're old. They've been there for years, and sometimes you forget what you're there for, you know.
But again, as I go back to the Newcastle, it's not about football dinosaurs. I think that the heart and soul has been ripped out of Newcastle. This is looked at as a structure, you know, with one man making decisions which are, you know, based, as you said, on French players, lots of them coming in. There's no real connection between the fans and the board. He very rarely is heard talking or uttering anything in a press. You know, there's no press release to suggest that here's Mike Ashley, who owns Newcastle, this is what I think. There's no communication, and the whole thing now, you know, for such a fanatical support, I think a lot of them are disillusioned, because you know, if you ask to a man, Newcastle fans, would they like Mike Ashley out? I think the majority of them would say yes, Frank.
But he came out, he didn't do any interviews, and he done one at the end of the season when they stayed up, and he says, I can tell you now, I'm going to stay here till we win something. I'm not selling the club until we win something. And I think half of Newcastle just thought, well, they went out that night and get drunk, because he's going to be there for a long time, because they ain't going to win nothing. You know, they'll be lucky. They're lucky to win games now.
I think Steve McLaren will be under pressure. See if they were to get a result like Southampton got during the week against Liverpool. I think Steve McLaren would be.
He said he was saying you've got to run back as quick as you run forward, and I'm thinking, well, that means that you've not got control of the players. You know, if you're doing that, if you've got to say that, you know, on TV, it means to me, it means you've not got control of the players.
See what Frank said about Klopp coming in at Liverpool, and you were talking, Peter, about are they going to be challenging? Somebody, the stats this week, I know that I listen to the stats, I go on about, somebody said that they actually found that the team themselves, the work rate of the team in terms of the actual coverage, you know, in terms of distance covered by the players, it's increased by quite a bit, about 20% higher than it was before he came in. So there's a sign that somebody's getting more out of the players. All of a sudden, if you're getting more out of the players and you're getting results, does that not tell you that the guy knows
great
what
when a manager walks in and says that, if you don't do it my way, you're out. It's simple. It's just told them.
I know they're not playing particularly well just now, but Man United are just hanging on in there, not playing attractive football. They look as if everybody else running about them has just thrown that title at them, because at one stage they are going to start scoring goals.
Hey, Roughie, calm your jets. Let's not write off Liverpool just yet.
I don't think they've got the team, Man United.
No, I think they're dull, man.
I think they're very slow.
They might be dull, but I still think they'll get when the big games come. Let's see who wins the games.
There's a few players there that you think they can get forward. The German boys, swing master, what we call them.
Yeah.
And there's a few of them in there. But they can go forward and score goals. I mean, he can score goals, yeah. And they've got him just sitting there, and I'm thinking that's not his game.
Yeah.
You know, Alan McInally would be saying to me, Alan McInally says the boy can go forward.
Do you know what's great about you two? You just do not get this, do you? No. If he speaks, you don't, and then when you speak, he doesn't.
I know.
It's always you two don't even listen to each other. He could be giving you the 4 digits on his credit card, and you wouldn't be listening, Roughie.
I wouldn't want them.
No, you kid yourself.
Put some money in.
Listen, here's the predictions, Roughie. I'm not sure if you're. It's been a strange old week for predictions. Here's our match prediction. You're well ahead, Roughie. But it's surprising that so many games have fallen foul of the weather. I did have Aberdeen to win, and so did you, so we pick up 3 points there, Roughie. Hearts has gone Kilmarnock. I've got Kilmarnock just to edge it, and you have it as a draw. And then, of course, Partick fell foul of the weather. I think it'll be a draw between Ross County and St John's. You've gone for an unusual 5-4.
That has to be a misprint, surely.
Well, it's Ross County 5, St John's 4. So clearly, you think there's going to be a goals fest there, Roughie.
He definitely is cruising.
I'm not sure. If you get that right, by the way, you deserve double points again. Gordon, I mean, it's just ridiculous. But nevertheless.
Imagine the odds you would get for betting that in a book.
5-4. Anyway, that's our prediction for today. Severely fallen foul of the weather. Let's talk about a number of other issues ahead of the big kick-off. We'll be going back to Rugby Park shortly to get the teams. But listen, the one big worry for Celtic, I think, this afternoon is the fact that there's no game on. The players will be sitting in their house. They might have a chance to tweet things out, Macca, and that's a real worry because here we are at the end of a week in which Anthony Stokes last week clearly showed his unrest at being left completely out of the squad for the match against Inverness.
It's I spoke to Anthony, and he's a bit disillusioned, but he's training twice a day, and I know there's problems there, but he's asked, he's saying, look, if you're not playing me, let me go on loan. Let me go out, and they said no, they're not selling them, they're not putting them on loan. I just don't understand why you would want to keep a player that's...
They will sell him though, Macca, won't they?
They're not selling him. They're not.
You don't think they'll sell him? Why would you keep Anthony Stokes sitting?
They're not get money for him. Who's going to pay money for him? He's not playing.
But if you're a...
I think they should let him go on loan and get his wages.
Well, I was going to say to you, if they're a chief executive at Celtic and you know the way they operate as far as making sure that they're not trying to hold on to any dead wood. This is a boy who's so far out of the picture now, Gordon, that I'm almost certain the moves are afoot, if not to get him away, to get him out on loan.
He was in 2 weeks ago, and he sat down with PLZSoccer and the manager and said, I want to go. You know, if you're not playing me and I'm not even getting a chance of getting in the squad,
it becomes hard to
go, you know, because
it becomes hard to sell you at that point. There's no doubt about that.
He said to me, he actually wanted a game of sixes. He said, I've not played football for ages. He says he'll come in and get a game of sixes.
I don't know. I see, the thing about it is that this whole thing about him being suspended and all that, Peter, a player's always treated in respect of, and I've seen it all through my football career, how important you are to the club and your value. If you're an important player, if he'd done that, look at what Chris Commons did. That would normally be a lot more serious in terms of doing that than what actually Anthony Stokes did.
Well, imagine Anthony Stokes did that, like Chris Commons did.
Oh, you would do it.
His feet wouldn't have touched the ground.
No, but again,
he wouldn't have played in the Saturday.
I know, but you're not following the newspapers here. The manager's come out and said it's not just about the tweet.
That's easy.
It's a culmination of a number of other issues, and let's look at those issues. There are a number of issues now. I don't want to get into the family side of thing, which I think has dogged Anthony Stokes over a 4-year period at Celtic. But other issues, you don't come back late for training for a Champions League, Europa League match. That's not good enough either.
Enough. I mean, I agree with that. In that respect, it was a wee bit like when the time when Barry Ferguson and Alan McGregor were suspended, and everybody said it was just for with the gesture they made. It was the night out they'd had before at the hotel. So it was 2 yellow cards. I tried to explain that to people. It was so that may be the similar circumstance by Stokes.
Well, it is. That's what the manager said.
It's yellow card. I agree with that then. But as I say, in terms of, but there was such a big fuss kicked up over it. One thing I would want if I was a manager would be if MD's not playing, I would want them to be angry about it. The last thing I want is somebody who's not in the team be quite comfortable and relaxed about it. I want somebody who wants to play and makes it clear they want to play. And at least you've got a player with the right attitude.
It's a shame because he's a decent player.
Market, he can score goals, but I would say this to you: Neil Lennon didn't pick him when he was the Champions League matches. He did not pick Anthony Stokes. He did not rate him in Champions League matches. No disrespect to the boy. I've got no axe to grind with Anthony Stokes because at the end of the day, I can only look at the situation with the news, at the culmination of the other issues that have dogged him as well. So quite simply, I think his days are numbered. I think Celtic will look to sell him. Even at the point they don't.
His days are numbered before he tweeted.
I think.
Yes,
you read behind the scenes, you look at the many games he was
Lenny
involved
wanted him doing it. I think Lenny wants him doing it Bolton, but they've not got any money.
He just does not get it, does
It's
he?
another thing you have to get your head around. I mean, these two guys will experience more than me when you're out of the game for 3 months or 2 months. You're not involved, you're not getting picked, you're sitting in the no, I'm saying that happened to you too, but you would know what it feels like when you want to be involved all the time and you want to be playing. There is a breaking point, and if you're going in and going, look, let me out and loan, let me go and get a game, and they're going no, and these things happen like that.
I don't think it was malice. I don't think it was malice when he tweeted Pierre. It was just he was annoyed and just put it out, and that's what social media it can hurt you sometimes.
Well, I think Gordon's nailed it. I think quite simply, players, if you're angry that you're not playing, if you're a Chris Collins, you're throwing the jersey down because you want to play and you don't want to be taken off, you've got no problem with that. You like that attitude. If you have a Tevez one where you just don't actually want to go on, maybe that's a different kettle of fish. But you can give us your thoughts on that at Peter and Roughie on Twitter and Facebook.com/Peter and Roughie and PeterandRoughie.com. As ever, we'll test you with some questions throughout the afternoon. And Jamie Vardy seems to be the man of the moment. He's trying to beat another record today. Sheffield United's Jimmy Dunn. I bet you never thought you'd hear that name on the programme. This time Vardy going for consecutive goals to try and beat Jimmy's record. How many goals has Jamie Vardy scored this season for Leicester City? We'll bring you the answer to that question after the break. Welcome back to Peter and Roughie's Saturday Football Show here on STV Edinburgh, STV Glasgow. Delighted to have your company. The three panellists, as ever, on a Saturday afternoon to keep you company as you sit wrapped up nicely, hopefully in front of a very warm fire. Just staying in because the weather is wintry, it's blustery out there. Storm Desmond last night took a grip and certainly had a major effect on the games in Scotland. It really is a card that's been decimated by not only the rain but the windy conditions have made it very, very difficult not only for fans to get to the game but the state of the pitches across the Premiership. Certainly we still have managed to get football. Dundee 0, Aberdeen 2, a comfortable win in the end for Derek McInnes' side. Over and above that we've got Kilmarnock against Dundee United. We'll bring you the teams from there very shortly indeed, and we've also got Ross County against St Johnstone. Roughie still can't remember saying Ross County 5, St Johnstone 4 in his match predictor, but that's what happens when you don't fill out the forum properly. we help you along, Roughie. It's as simple as that. And can you imagine, Gordon, if it ended up 5-4 today, you know, and he'd switched it back to his 2-1 prediction?
He would then be claiming that he actually did.
No, I certainly would not. No way.
Roughie, that's the type of guy you are. You would almost certainly be claiming that. Okay, I'm disappointed, I have to be honest with you guys, on the Championship games going off, because I think that really would have been great today in the Championship, because I sensed there might have been a little slip up here or there. You know, Hibs going to Morton's not easy. Rangers going to Wraith Rovers not easy, and it's in conditions like this that sometimes, you know, if you've got a certain style of football, it doesn't go according to plan.
Exactly. I thought it'd been interesting because even when the Rangers game was put off, the Morton game was still on at that point. I thought that'll be interesting to see how Hibs go down there, because it'll be obviously be difficult conditions down in Greenock. But with that game being off, then you know it's going to be played at another time, because it gave Hibs an opportunity then to catch, you know, Rangers up again, get back that 3 points ahead, because Rangers got the 3 points, they had the game in hand. They've now played level games, but Hibs would have had an opportunity to equal Rangers today.
Yep, and of course I'm amazed, Roughie, that Falkirk never get the go-ahead. I mean, your artificial surface, but clearly the travelling conditions have put paid to that. And of course, the other aspect of it that's never easy for so many of the grounds over the next month is the Forth Road Bridge, which will have major implications, I think, Roughie, for any fans travelling.
Yeah, certainly will. It's amazing. You just take these bridges for granted, but they are a link-up for the East, you know, to come over here, and the disruption will be, you know, catastrophic. I mean, fortunately, we're not going over it, so it's not really.
Did they say why the Falkirk? Did they say why the Falkirk game was off? Did they actually give a reason for it?
Yes, Storm Desmond.
It wasn't the pitch. It wasn't a flooded pitch.
I wouldn't imagine
the health and safety.
Yes,
the police would have made a call.
I would not imagine that pitch at £500,000 is going to be suffering from any kind of weather. I mean,
conditions.
It's in good condition to play on it at the best of times.
Dundee's pitch looked alright as well, considering it's grass. It looked okay today for that game.
It did indeed. It just Dundee forgot to turn up to play on it. So we will bring you reaction from the managers in that game. But I posed you a question prior to the break, which was, of course, talking about the man of the moment, Jamie Vardy. It's incredible when you consider 11 games, 11 goals consecutively for him, and I think to defeat Ruud van Nistelrooy's record was superb for Vardy. Now he's going for Jimmy Duns, who played for Sheffield United in season 1931-32 when he scored in 12 straight games as well. It's no mean feat, Maka, as you know. Goals, that's really where you made your name. But to consistently come out and score goals, not just tap-ins. He's got quality in some of these goals.
He's got some great goals, and as we keep talking about him, we can't praise him enough, but he's came from nowhere. It's like one of these stories little boys can...
Roy the Rovers.
Yeah, it's one of them that you just look up to and you think, he just came from nowhere. Teams didn't want him, and then all of a sudden you look up now, there's not a team wouldn't take him. And he's a likeable lad, and he's, as we said, you know, forget about the coaching staff, forget about the medical staff. He's had a couple of injuries and he said, no, I'm playing. And he's broke his hand, he's still strap it up, and he went out and played. So he's doing very well, and the boy just loves scoring goals. So and you can see that he must be a really likeable guy, because all his teammates are celebrating with him, and it's not fake. So they're, when he's scoring a goal, they're all delighted for him. He must be one of the kind of boys. He just wanted to break records, and I hope he does it.
I was just wondering what teams you played for when you didn't like the other striker when he was scoring.
No, I was always no. I didn't mind. I didn't mind when I was down at West Ham. Tony Cottee got a lot of goals, and not as many as me, but he got a lot of goals.
Yeah, exactly.
No, the interesting thing, he hasn't scored 11 games in a row. He scored 11 league games in a row.
Yeah.
So it's not 11 games in a row.
See, we always know. We always know got the stats.
But and what difference does that make to anything, Gordon?
The point is, was that other guy's record that he's
No, he was straight games.
It's straight
Just
games.
straight games.
Well, Vardy's isn't straight games. It's league games.
Yeah.
So because he played against Hull in the League Cup and didn't score.
Yeah, but I did say to Jamie Vardy, you bothered about Jimmy Dunn's record? He went, no, I don't care. No, as long as it gets me a big move in January, I don't care. Just keep feeding me.
I'll wait till
Okay.
I think
It's still a good record.
I think one thing he's going to do, he'll be there at the end of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh no, he'll stay to the end of the season. Listen, if he gets a 90 grand a week contract, he might stay beyond that. Anyway, the goals that he scored, 14 no less. Did you get that? That was the answer we were looking for there. 14. We're going to be heading to Rugby Park after this next break, and we will get the teams from Kilmarnock against Dundee United, Ross County against St Johnstone as well. And I'm just looking at the next question to test you guys. We were talking about Ajax a couple of questions ago. When was the last time Ajax won the Champions League? Can you remember that? The last time Ajax won the Champions League just shows you how far they've dropped in their history. The last time Ajax won the Champions League, we'll give you the answer to that coming up after the break. More from Roughie, Smudger and Macca next. Welcome back to Peter and Roughie's Saturday Football Show. Alan Rough, Gordon Smith and Frank McAvenny are with me, Peter Martin, and I posed a question to do with the Champions League. And Ajax, when was the last time they won the Champions League? Any of you guys remember that season? Ajax won it. They have actually won it on 4 occasions.
I don't know, when was the last time?
1996 or something?
1996, Macca?
I thought 80s sometime maybe.
80s?
84.
84. There you are. Roughie, just the first thing that came into his head. Yeah, an 8 and a 4. 94-95 season. Wow. It was Patrick Kluivert that scored the goal against AC Milan. I think he was something like 19 years of age when he scored the winning goal in a Champions League final. And Danny Blind was playing.
Davids was playing that team, wasn't he, in the Ajax team?
Yeah. A really good side. But it's been a long time since they've been involved, in the latter stages of Champions League football as well. Just shows you how difficult it is.
Can they go through, Peter, if they win Thursday, Ajax? If Fenerbahce don't beat Celtic, did they go through?
I think they need Ajax need Celtic to do them a turn in that game.
That's right.
And then they can maybe sneak in.
If Fenerbahce win, they're through with Molde.
Yeah. So I think the odds on Celtic being able to do that, I think, is anybody going to say there's a real chance? I think slim.
No, there's a worry about going there as well, and they're all panicking about, going over to Turkey in this troubled time. So it's I don't think there will be many supporters have been told not to take the trains. Yeah. Which is security reasons. It's pretty.
You can understand. I think there's got to be that safety aspect for the fans.
Yes,
you want to make sure that your supporters are safe going to a ground and and certainly coming back out of it as well. Although I would say to you guys that Fenerbahce, as far as an atmosphere is concerned, absolutely incredible. I think I was commentating on a game, Fenerbahce Rangers, and the Turkish fans were in 2.5-3 hours before the game started. There was about 20,000 of them in.
Really?
I mean, I don't know about you, but if I was going to a game with my mates, I wouldn't want to hang about them for 2 or 3 hours before it as well, Robbie. That's hard going. Would you agree?
Especially your mates.
I've seen any of your mates. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And because of this job, I haven't seen it either. Listen, let's go to Rugby Park because we're getting ever closer to kick-off. Craig Turnbull has the teams Kilmarnock Dundee United.
4 changes from the side that lost 5-2 to Partick last week. I think Gordon Smith must have had inside knowledge there because Chris Boyd is returned to the starting lineup alongside Jamie Hamill, Stuart Finlay and Craig Slater. So out go McHattie, Robinson, Kiltie and Higginbotham, who is suffering from an ankle injury. So they line up with McDonald in goal, a back 4 of O'Hara, Connolly, Balatonley and Finlay. Hamill and Slater in holding midfield with McGuinness, Smith and Obadiah supporting Boyd up front. For the visitors today, well, the big news is that new signing Sima Pongal is drafted straight into the starting lineup. He comes in for Charlie Telfer. So they line up with Shromnick in goal, a back 3 of Dillon, Durnan and Gunning. In midfield, McGowan, Suter, Ranking and Dixon, with Pongal and Spittle supporting Mackay up front. And the referee for today's game is John Beaton.
So Pongal starts. No surprise that he was going to draft one of them in, Gordon.
I think that I'm not surprised at all, Peter, because I felt that because of they played well last week and they threw it away. I mean, I saw the highlights of the game. The chances they had to win were unbelievable, and they just threw it away. Hamilton got better as the game went on. Obviously, came through because Dundee United gave them every chance. So I think he wants to get experience in there. That's why he's brought these players in. And although he might not be 100% fit, he'll want to have him in there to give them that bit of strength in there. So tough game. Commander, I felt they would make changes. As I say, Chris Boyd, I thought they would put him in because he's waited his turn to get a game. And the week before, the reason he didn't make any changes for last week's game against Partick was because they'd got a 0-0 draw at Celtic. So probably he's quite happy with his team after a 0-0 draw. They lose 5 at home. 4 changes today. Obviously, Higginbotham, as mentioned there with Craig, is injured, but the other 3 changes are positional and tactical to try and get something from this game, because I do think the thing you mentioned earlier on, Peter, was it because if Dundee United play that way, Kilmarnock will be trying to rob them as far up the field as they can and create chances for themselves, and that's why you'd want Chris Boyd there, because if you can pinch the ball off the opposition near the goals, Chris Boyd becomes a real threat.
Yeah, and as far as the backup substitutes for Dundee United, he has Demel on the bench as well that he may well call on.
Well, it's good because he's obviously not fit, but he's had a few injuries, Peter. But it's obviously not to do with injuries. He's just not fit because he's not played for so long, and he'll be wanting to bring him on. He might get half out of it, but he can call on him if need be. So he's a good player, and Pongo, I don't know much about the boy, but you know, he obviously likes him in training, and he's sharp and he's playing, so we'll see how it goes today. See how it adapts to Scottish football.
Okay, I think it's probably this time, just a couple of minutes to go before kick-off. Get your thoughts on the games, lads, to see how we're looking at it today. Again, Dundee 0, Aberdeen 2 was how it finished at Dens Park. A good win for the Dons. As far as the other matches are concerned, Kilmarnock, Dundee United, Roughie, how do you see that one going?
Well, like Gordon just touched briefly on there, I was impressed with Dundee United last week. I think the first half of the game they could have been 3-0 up, and the confidence they would have got from that would have probably went and seen out the game. But as Gordon says, as the game went on, you know, the pressure started to sink in. Kilmarnock, I don't know if you losing 5 goals, you know, it takes very, very hard to recover for that. So I expect Dundee United to get something out of that game today.
Gordon Smith.
I think the same. I think Kelly, unless that tactic does work in terms of the changes they've made, Slater's a good player, they brought him in too. I think that Dundee United could get something from this game.
I fancy Kilmarnock. I just fancy they've got to do something, and it's new to the Dundee United players, that high intensity, getting the ball back, the full-backs getting it. It's all new to them, and I don't think they look comfortable doing it. So I think that Kilmarnock will work on that all week, and they will press them, and I think they might. If they get the first goal, I think they could win comfortably.
Okay, Ross County against St Johnstone.
Well, I'm a wee bit the same in respect. I think that I just see St Johnstone as a very good away team, and I think that today, I think St Johnstone will be comfortable playing at Ross County, that they get better results away from home, and I think that St Johnstone can win that game.
Roughie?
Yeah, I think with the conditions today, this could be a high scoring game. Probably 5-4, you know, with the wind playing a lot.
So
2-1 Ross County.
2-1.
I know St Johnstone are playing particularly well away from home, but I just think Ross County with their 2 strikers available, and I've been really impressed with the boy Irvin this year, so I think they'll just nick this one.
I mean, when you look, I think it's only 6 games on the bounce away from home, Mark. St Johnstone have managed to get a win.
Yeah, I don't think they'll get a win today. I think they've been pretty decent, but I just have got a feeling that up there in that wind and rain, I think Ross County will do something. But I'm going for the draw. Since they two are going for Ross County, I'll go for the draw.
No, I'm going for St Johnstone.
Okay.
Listen,
let's look at the Premiership table just to see how things stand. Obviously, a number of teams are not involved, but as you can see, Aberdeen have closed the gap on Celtic at the top of the table there. There's only 4 points between them, but Celtic obviously having played a game less. Hearts not in action today either. It's such a disappointment. St Johnstone have the chance to get a little closer to them if they can get a win. Ross County equally so on Hamilton Accies, and then at the bottom end with Kilmarnock and Dundee United in action. I think the last thing, as Craig Turnbull highlighted, the last thing that Dundee United can afford, Gordon Smith, is to slip further behind today. If they lost today, certainly all the other clubs would think we can put real daylight between us.
Certainly they go about 11 points behind Kilmarnock as it is, so they're one of the teams that Dundee United are looking just ahead of themselves. They've got Motherwell, Partick there, Kilmarnock, Inverness. They want to get closer to one of those teams, but that's why today's a 6-pointer. If Dundee United were to lose the game today, they stay where they are, but one of their other rivals who could a possibility of catching get 11 points ahead of them. So Dundee United, I think, have to get something from the game. They can't afford to lose it.
Is anyone going for Alloa in a home win? Any one of you guys?
I can see it happening. I mean, Dumbarton aren't playing well at all.
So Roughie's going for Alloa then?
Yeah, I'm going to go for Alloa.
Yeah.
Come on, Alloa. Come on, Alloa.
Considering the fact that the only game they've won so far was against Dumbarton, I think Alloa can win today as well.
Yeah, you going for Alloa to win?
Yeah, why not? Why not? The wind will do it, yeah.
Okay then, the three guys are going for Alloa. I'll go for Dumbarton just for the noise up factor, if anything, in that match. As far as the other games are concerned, Dunfermline against Brecon City.
I think you've got to see Dunfermline.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any doubt.
You happy with that, Mike?
Yeah, I'm happy with that, yes.
Yep, okay. And of the Scottish League 2 matches, Stirling Albion, Elgin.
It's a tight one. That there's not much between in the league in that sense. I would think that could be one that could go either way, but I'm going to tip a draw for that one myself.
Yep, Macca.
Yeah, I'll go for the draw. I'll go with Gordon because he's got all the stats in front of him.
Yes, absolutely. It's called preparation. It's a long thought, but if you add it to your game, you'll be unstoppable, Macca. Okay, that's how it looks as far as the Scottish division is concerned. What about the Barclays Premier League, lads? Let's get a quick one on this. Manchester City shocked by that 2-0 win by Stoke today. Arnautovic scoring both goals. Arsenal, Sunderland.
3-0, Arsenal.
Yeah, nothing about Sunderland winning last week. Does that not cut an ace with you? Arsenal, okay. Man United, West Ham.
Man United 3-0 for me again.
Hold on, here he comes. Go on, Macca.
I'm going for. I think we'll get a draw. West Ham will get a draw.
Oh, we now is it? Well, is that the proverbial we? Yeah. How do you? It's a really good job that we're not out in London in this programme, eh, Roughie? Southampton, Aston Villa.
I think Southampton will bounce back from their
mauling.
I think they'll win 2-1 today.
That was an incredible performance by Liverpool against them, Roughie. I couldn't take my eyes off it.
It was great, and every goal was a peach. Just amazing transformation in that Liverpool side. It's just the way they're playing. The confidence is there for everybody to see. That game today, I'm going to go 1 each Southampton.
I fancy a draw.
And I tell you, there's a goal at Rugby Park. Let's go there now. Craig Turnbull has the details.
Peter, it's a great start for Kilmarnock. They've took the lead. Great play from Josh McGuinness down the right hand side, put the ball into the 6-yard area, and who there was lurking but Chris Boyd for his third goal of the season. Kilmarnock 1, Dundee United 0.
Gordon Smith, how do you feel about that today? Because you're not one to actually, blow your own trumpet.
No, I thought Boyd would play, but I've tipped Dundee United maybe to win it. No, that's the thing. But that's a great start for Kelly, and the man they put in there. What's he been put in to do? Score.
Yeah.
And he's taking 4 minutes.
Well, you did say that. You said that if they press up, he's a dangerous player. And I can't see Boyd doing a lot of pressing, but he'll just be sitting in the box.
If you put the ball in the box,
he's a goal scorer.
And Leicester have scored already. They're a goal up on Swansea. It hasn't taken long. So they're a goal up, and St Johnstone are a goal up. Wotherspoon and Mahrez has got the goal for Leicester. So there's the goals flying in the first minutes. Leicester City a goal up in Swansea. Gary Monk's under pressure, Macca.
I think he's under pressure. As I said a couple of weeks ago, I get told there's been a lot of unrest in the dressing room. So if Leicester go there, they're playing well, and if they get a result today, I don't think he's
you think that's the end?
It can't be far away, Peter, if they get beat, because they're on a slope at the moment, and it's like a downward spiral, and sometimes it's very hard to get out. And if he's not got the dressing room, then you've got to make a change because there's too much money next year.
Well, I understand the pressures of the Barclays Premier League, but here is a man who has worked wonders with Swansea after Michael Laudrup left. Many people questioned his appointment. The people within Swansea certainly didn't question it, and Swansea were comfortably staying in the Premier League last year. Gordon Smith, I'm looking at them now, they're in 15th position. Bournemouth, Newcastle, Aston Villa. Can you see any of those three getting a win today?
You can't probably see it. I think that his remit is obviously to keep Swansea in the league. I mean, nothing else other than having Swansea in the Premiership have done a great job for them, because they don't have the great resources, as we know, Peter. So I think that it could be difficult, but I think they'll take into account today. I think losing Macca, if they lose, they'll say, well, they're losing to a team that's up the top. It's not as if they're losing to one of their rivals down the bottom. Then there's more of a worry. I don't think about a job if he loses today, but he certainly does have to provide one win in the last 9 games. games,
Listen,
and that's not enough.
Here's a scoreline from the Cup. East Kilbride 1, Stenhousemuir 0. That was a humdinger of a tie the last time around. It was 2-2. They got a late equaliser, Stenhousemuir, and East Kilbride clearly have started off again with some good form there. They were 2-0 up in that match, Roughie, do you remember?
Yeah, I remember it, and I'm sure everybody at East Kilbride, they're the kind of games that in the rise of that club, they'll be really appreciating, know what it's like to play in the Scottish Cup, and they'll want to win that one and hope they could possibly get a bigger tie in the next round. But as we saw with Stenhousemuir, they came back in numerous occasions last week.
Interesting one to be Annan as well. Remember the incredible story up there in Varuri?
Yeah,
I think
4-4.
Had a 3-0 lead, and then Annan came back and went 4-3 up.
Yeah, and the other aspect of that was great was I think the equalising goal was from the kick-off. It was the most outrageous equaliser of all time.
I mean, let's be honest, if Messi or Ronaldo had done that, you know, they would be raving about it. I mean, it was, you could actually see when he took the centre and he sort of wandered out left, you could hear everybody saying, pass it, give me a pass, and then he got in it. But I don't actually think he tried to score, did he? I think it was a ball into the box. I think the wind,
You think so?
I think the wind caught a hold of it.
God, I love that when people score. You know, the great thing, I can't remember who it was that said it, Frank, but the great thing is that there are people who are just negative rather than celebrating the positives of these things.
Well, all I'm saying is that was going away out the road until the wind caught it. I mean, they can't fudge that. I mean, it was good nowhere near the goal.
Well, I think it deserves credit because he'd beaten four men on the way. But right now, the scores so far coming in: Kilmarnock leading by a goal to 0, and that goal scored by Chris Boyd. David Wotherspoon has scored in that match for St Johnstone up at Ross County. The guys just wouldn't listen. Of course, the Saints are leading there, and Mahrez, I think he's a really good player. Frank McAvenny, he's one of those guys that, although everybody's looking at Vardy, he could be one that's getting a big move.
I think what they do down there's a lot of partnerships, and that's definitely a partnership that works. As you say, Vardy's getting the headlines, and quite rightly so, but Mahrez just going about his business, and he scored a lot of goals, so he's...
it might open up a wee bit for him as well, Frank, because you know the situation when one striker's in form, the other team concentrates more on that player, don't they?
Well, that's
and you get more of a chance maybe getting through unmarked.
They just seem to know each other's the runs, and so it's a good foil.
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now, Manchester United have had most of the possession in the game, just haven't been able to create anything. Marca in that match against West Ham United, that's the story of their season, isn't it?
They do that all the time, they just keep passing it across, and I mean, as Paul Scholes says, he wouldn't like to play in that team because they don't go forward.
Yeah.
You know, and I just think they should. I think he's got to release some of the players, just say, like, go and enjoy yourself. That's what Fergie done.
Yeah.
He had a good defence.
But he won't do that. I can tell you from speaking to a couple of players.
No, I know he won't, but he should, because there's a lot of good players there, talented players that are good. And Fergie says, when you get into their half, go and express yourself.
Yeah, but his attitude is very methodical.
I know.
You play this position, you will do this, and you will not deviate from that. I don't think flair and people being allowed to think for themselves freely and beat 2 or 3 men is at the top of his agenda.
Well, I think that's why the big players are not going to go there with him, because they're talking about Ronaldo going back. There's no chance he's going to go back. Well, with all due respect, I mean, we're now in a situation down south. This is how mad it gets, and thankfully we're not quite at that stage up here yet, but we're now in a situation where they're looking and saying who's going to get Pep Guardiola as their boss, and they're even talking about him going at Manchester United, because he'd been talking about that before. Manchester City are in the mix for him as well. You know, so many people think he's going to be leaving Bayern Munich.
I think one of those positions could come out from. I think this year, I've no doubt about it. My belief is that Bayern Munich will be in the final, the Champions League. I think I don't know it'll be Barcelona or whoever, but I think Bayern will be there, and he will be a target for the likes of the people that's got the money are Man City and Chelsea. Could be a possibility.
Well, there's a lot of people. Is it Rummenigge over is it Beckenbauer that's been speaking about him, saying, you know, we don't know, because they've been saying he's going to stay. They've always said, and now it's we'll just look, we'll get it, we move on. So it's obviously there's something getting said, and he's not talking to them about a new contract. So I think they might believe that he's going to move on. And I think Man City's a team for him. I don't know about Man United. I think Man City, the money that he will just come in, and we're talking about Messi might be going there because he's got problems with his tax and allegedly. But you go there and it's you know, and if Messi goes there, you can see Pep Guardiola just matching up with him, because it'd be a joy. I think it'd be great for British football if somebody like Messi and Pep Guardiola come over here.
I'll tell you what it'd be great for. Shirt sales. They'll go through the roof. Can you imagine so many little boys going to school and girls going to school with their the new Manchester City shirt with Messi on the back? That would be ridiculous, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that's why they're not even blinking at the 800,000 a week.
Yeah.
You know, because they know how much they can recoup.
Well, the money that they're getting next year is phenomenal. So you can see why the chairman's all down there. The teams at the bottom are panicking because there's so much money.
Would you change much, Roughie, as a person if you were on £800,000 a week?
I'd probably have a bigger name on the back of my strip, you know, so I could sell more numbers, you know, just to coin it in.
Yeah, that's why I've always got great respect for Jan Vennegoor of Hessel
I know.
He just, I'll tell you, Tony Watt has scored for Cardiff, Roughie. There's a name that we haven't heard in a long, long while. What do you make of that?
No, and he's been about, and you know, it's good that he's at a club now that I thought he was going about too much. I think he was just on loan here, on loan there, and but now he's at a club, and as you say, that's the first time we've heard his name for a while. So let's hope that it's a start of because he's only about what, 21?
Doing well, Peter. He was doing well at Charlton, and then it just a new manager come in and just left him out.
Well, his old manager certainly wouldn't be happy because it's against Bolton.
Well, he'll be delighted with that.
Yeah, well, I think that's one of those ones where you run across to the dugout and give it, you know.
I think
I had one of those situations in my time.
Yeah?
I had a bit of a fallout with the Brighton manager, and when I left there, and I went straight over when I scored against them for Man City. And I didn't gesture at all. Just went over and looked at him just to see what his reaction was.
You don't strike me as a vindictive sort of person, Gordon. Whereas the other three here, we almost certainly in it for the.
No, but I just wanted to make a point. I just went across and had a look as if to say, "What do you think of that?"
It would have been interesting with Tony scoring and running over, because Lenny's liable to knock him out.
They got too close. I was just about to say.
Did you win that game?
Yeah, 2-0.
You've got to win it. Imagine they've come back and they won 2-1. You had to walk by him at the dugout.
And you know, it reminds me of, I don't know if you remember this, but there was a great game at Ibrox. It was Rangers 4, Celtic 4, and Ali McCoist scored an absolute peach of a goal. It was like they called it a daisy cutter, and he'd rifled it with his right foot low into the net, and he ran up to the halfway line, looked at the dugout, and it was the strangest thing. He kissed his boot and then went like that. Now, I always wondered, why did he do that? There must have been there was an edge.
It never came out why he did it.
I seem to remember asking him about it.
Who was the manager?
Off foot that they maybe never scored with.
Who was the manager?
No, he's right foot. Are you kidding me?
Was it a right foot?
Was it Souness the manager?
Well, it was 4-4. It was 1986, I think.
86.
Oh, Graham Souness would be manager.
I think he might have just been in at the time.
Yeah,
you know?
86. It was
Maybe a new boot sponsorship.
No, I wouldn't think so.
It was a muddy, wet day, Roughie, and I don't.
Souness didn't want to play him. He says he gets too many chances, and he only scores one. Doesn't score enough, he was saying. But he was quick from him. I remember one of the times Souness was shouting at him, and it's a two-star in the changing room, and he's shouting and bawling at Coisty, and he's saying, "Will you move?" And Coisty says, "Gaffer, if they can't find me when I'm standing still, what chance have they got to find me when I start moving?" And you can imagine Souness's face.
Yeah, not wonder. I think at that point you start running in the dressing room just to get out the road of it.
Great answer though.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, Jack Smith scored that goal for East Kilbride in the game against Dennismuir in the Cup. Kilmarnock leading Dundee United by a 1-0, and another one there that I suggested. And we had picked a treble, Roughie, from the Barclays Premier League this week, because I think we sensed there was going to be a few games off up here, and one of them was Tottenham. I thought Tottenham were a stick-on for an away win at West Brom, and they're a goal up in that match already.
Yeah, I disagreed with you. I thought West Brom were playing well. I thought James Morrison was playing well from midfield, and Tottenham for me are a team you can never ever predict what they're going to do. So I went for
Well, I've got a 2 each forecast for that game.
I just feel when I see Tottenham, I never know which team's going to turn up.
Yeah. Well, when I see them, I think to myself, fourth. I know what's turning up. They're winning 1-0. Del Ali has scored. He's had a good start to the season, this youngster. He's managed to break into the England side as well. Scored a cracker of a goal at Wembley.
Yeah, He's a delight to watch, but the manager's playing a funny game with him, I think, because he's saying, look, we're not going to give him his contract that he wants and all that because he's still young and we don't want to give him too much money. Well, I'm sorry, in today's game, it's all about the money. Mm-hmm. And the agent will be saying, well, if you don't give him the money, he'll be going somewhere else because there won't be a shortage of clubs. So I think the manager at Tottenham is giving a wee bit of, I don't know if he's been using psychology or something like that for the kid. I don't know, but it's a dangerous game, I thought.
Bolton have equalised, so suddenly Tony Watt is looking over at the dugout thinking, oh, is that Neil Lennon looking at me?
That's one of my biggest worries when the World Cup campaign with England. I think England have got a lot of young players.
You think they're going to win it?
I think, no, in our section, I think they've got a lot of players breaking through, whereas we haven't. We're talking 2 years down the line, they're going to have a lot of players, young players, I think will break into that first team and cause us problems.
I don't think the managers for all the young players to express themselves, they've got to change the manager because he's the same as Van Gaal. He doesn't want them to express himself. He's an old-fashioned one. He's just, it's tight as a group, and sometimes you've got to express yourself.
Listen, Jamie Vardy has gone through one-on-one with the goalkeeper, and Fabianski's made the save. So he's human after all. He misses one-on-ones with goalkeepers in the Barclays Premier League in Scotland as well. We've got Kilmarnock leading by that goal to nil. Let's go back there to Rugby Park just to find out what's happening with Craig Turnbull.
Yeah, it's still Kilmarnock 1, Dundee United 0 with that Chris Boyd goal, but to be honest, Kilmarnock could be further ahead. They had a great chance in 12 minutes when a long throw in from the right hand side caused all sorts of confusion in the Dundee United box. Topi Obiadai got on the end of it, a great save by Schromneck to deny the winger, and then it was another great ball out wide. Connolly this time whipping the ball in, and Balatoni with a header. Good save from Schromneck, but yeah, it's been really all Kilmarnock so far. Kilmarnock 1, Dundee United 0.
And I've got to ask you, Craig, you're watching that game. Are Dundee United trying to play that ball out from the back from the goalkeeper?
Yeah, Peter, they're still continuing to persist with that, although it's allowing Kilmarnock to come forward and press them at every opportunity. But when Dundee United do get the ball beyond the defence, they actually look like they could cause problems. Cinema Pongal is linked up quite well with Billy Mackay, but there's still no kind of cutting thrust in that final third yet. You've yet to test Jamie McDonald in goal, and we've played about 20 minutes, but it's still Kilmarnock 1, Dundee United 0.
So, Chris Boyd's goal, the difference between the two sides, and again, good to get that little angle on it. I mean, fair play to him. As Roughie mentioned, it's all right if you've got the players to do that. He's trying to drum it into them. Listen, they're professional footballers, Frank. I think sometimes it's down to the way you are coached to play. These guys have got, should have a good touch, should have worked on their skills. It's just a case of sometimes being asked to play a certain way.
It's a bit strange to some of the players because some players, especially fullbacks, just want to defend. And they get rid of it, and as you say, they should be comfortable on the ball. They should be able to take it easily. But just some of them don't have the confidence to do it, Peter. And I don't know why a professional footballer should have the confidence.
But the other side of it as well, it's the coaching side as well, because see developing players. I saw it myself on many occasions that young players who play at the back aren't allowed to play football, so they never develop. So if you all of a sudden, when you get to 20, 21 years of age, Peter, and say, I want you to get the ball from the goalkeeper and start playing football, they can't do it because they were not allowed to do it all through their time. So you can't suddenly produce players that do that. What you have to do eventually then, and even some of the foreign teams have done it in the past, is move players from midfield back, take the big guys that play midfield and can play a bit of football, but move them back into defence. If they're good defensively as well, then that's people that can get on the ball and play. And even Mascherano does it with Barcelona. They use Piqué as well, who's a strange
one.
Player.
That's a strange one because I thought they were going to buy, a big centre half, Barcelona, and they just kept Mascherano in there. That's incredible.
It is
He's done well.
He's another one that's faced tax investigation in Spain. What is it with people in Spain that just don't want to pay their taxes?
He went to West Ham and Pardew wouldn't play him. I thought, I couldn't believe it. He went with Tevez, and it was incredible. These two superstars came over, and Alan Pardew says, "Nah, Not for me.
No, that's the last thing you want is somebody whose passes can get to the other player that's in your team. It's just a nightmare. Let me tell you that Cove are a goal up, and for Martin, Roughie's favourite side up there, he has predicted that they would go really far, but this could be the end for them in the cup. Roughie, Cove have got the opening goal.
No, I think both teams are pretty equal, particularly in the league as well. And as we always say, there's a wee bit to go there. I think for Martin, we'll expect to score in that game. So I don't think that one's done and dusted yet.
Yeah, Craig Gunn's penalty has given Elgin City the lead against Stirling Albion.
One Leicester have just scored two, is it?
And Leicester have got the second goal, and I was just it's Mahrez again, Roughie. Well, there you are.
He's obviously not a team player. I mean, he's got to be passing to Vardy. Why is he wanting to score goals?
Pass it to him.
There's a tremendous amount of good feeling towards Jamie Vardy, which is nice to actually hear from you guys in the studio. And another article I was reading this morning in the Guardian newspaper was about he absolutely hates me reading other papers.
I go in every Saturday morning to get the Guardian. There's never any there.
Is that right?
So I have to take the Independent.
Yeah, there are other papers. You've got to read a broad selection.
Absolutely.
And the article was on, of course, the transformation, and the career strategy of Gary Neville, because now he finds himself as manager of Valencia. So all the good talk as a exceptional pundit, now he has to deliver as a manager, and there's a strong link between the owner of Valencia, the Salford City link, the Neville brothers. So you can see how he's managed to land the job. It may have surprised a few Valencians, but he's in there, he's got a job to do. He's got 6 months to try and steady the ship and maybe have an effect. He's got to embrace the language. I think that's the first key point to it, and of course maybe impart some of the tremendous experience that he'll have.
Yeah, well, I think he's a very impressive character. There's no question. I think that he's somebody who's obviously very smart. He learned the game. I know what he was like as a young player. He was very, very hard working and was determined to become better and prove himself, and he did fantastically well. So I think it's brilliant, and he's now been told already by the Tottenham manager is to call him by the proper name, Valencia. You don't say V in Spanish, it's Valencia.
Yeah, okay.
Valencia.
Ah, well, there you are, and that's Gordon telling us as well. But there's drama at Bugby Park. Let's go there now, Craig.
Have just equalised, Peter, from the penalty spot. It's Billy Mackay who grabs his 7th goal of the season, and Kilmarnock are reduced to 10 men as well after Stuart Finlay was sent off for bringing down McGowan in the box. Cinema upon goal, hit a free kick. McDonald made a good save. Mackay followed up, played the ball across to McGowan. Finlay was adjudged to have wiped McGowan out. He's been sent off. Mackay scored the resultant penalty. It's Kilmarnock 1, Dundee United 1.
We'll never have a better chance today, Roughie, to get an away win.
No, and you're the new manager, you're looking for a wee break here and there, and certainly that's him being given that break. It now remains to be seen, can they grab a hold of it, and certainly with Kilmarnock losing 5 goals last week, we're only having 10 men now, you would expect him to lose another couple. And
Pangol seems to have had an immediate effect. He's linking up well with Mackay.
Yeah, he seems to be. Mackay, we always knew he would score goals, but you just got to get. He's a typical goal scorer. You need chances to do that, and Pongo's obviously putting himself about and creating chances for him. So I'm sure Mackay will be delighted that he's in the team.
But these are the kind of turning points, aren't they, in matches? You're talking about a situation where Kilmarnock have taken an early lead, and all of a sudden we'll go over there and Dundee United not only getting the goal. I mean, it is always harsh, I think. It's a triple punishment for somebody getting set off, isn't it? Yeah. It's a penalty, a red card, and the player's suspended for the next game as well. But Dundee United are back in it, and they're looking. They must be favourites now.
Yeah, I think I'm just hearing that Arbroath against Cowdenbeath has been abandoned. So that's a blow, because we were just about to send Derek Clark up there. Since he's been at every other ground in Scotland, he could create a record today just going round trying to get a game.
The wind's normally 50 mile an hour in Arbroath, and it's just gone up to 150 today.
Yeah.
But because I've never played there unless it was windy. Have you?
It's crazy. I told you this is once we were playing up there, the waves in the sea actually came right over the stand onto the park with the wind.
Is that right?
If there's going to be a game going to be called off a wind, it's going to be
What did
abroad.
yeah.
Do you know? I kid you not. Do you know when we were younger, we went there on holiday.
Abroad?
I mean, who goes to abroad
Caravan
on
park.
holiday?
I did as well.
Yeah.
Caravan park.
site.
Yeah,
Yeah.
caravan. Yeah. Did
me
you go
too.
too, Roughie?
I
What's
did.
it called? Like it's called Red Tusk or something.
I went there too.
That's right. I remember seeing you two there.
I used to go to Brassy.
We were selling ice cream.
Brassy. Did it soon. I used to go to Brassy. I thought it was going for miles away.
You saw us too.
You see us in
You
the
saw
golf
us
course.
two up there.
Yeah.
Can't have one for well,
Yeah.
I hope you never saw who I was with. Allegedly.
And it wasn't me dressed up.
Oh, right. Honestly, only you can turn that story into something mad. Anyway, listen, the story so far is Kilmarnock 1, Dundee United 1. Billy Mackay, where would they be without him? He's got another chance. Let's find out about it with Craig Turnbull.
Oh well, he missed a few one-on-ones last week, Peter, against Hamilton, and Billy Mackay has done it here again. He was played right through, one-on-one with Jay McDonald, but the keeper stood firm and managed to block it with his legs. Still come on at 1, Dundee United 1.
Okay, you wouldn't bet against Billy Mackay extending his goal-scoring tally. Of course, I think Dundee United will look at him in the summer and try and get him on a longer-term deal.
Yeah, and looking at the highlights when he went there at first start, I always thought that he was just a wee half a yard ahead of everybody. You know, he makes these runs and the blindside run off to somebody's shoulder, and I don't think the rest of the Dundee United players were switched on to what he was actually doing. So obviously the more games they get and the more games they get playing with him and training with him, they'll see the runs he makes, you know, and can try and read them.
He gets into scoring positions, but as Craig said last week as well, he scored.
It's a goalie a lot of times.
Yeah, he scored last week, but he had another couple where he hit the goalkeeper twice and another one put over the bar. It was a decent goalkeeper, a good save from him as well. But he needs to start putting these chances away, because they're the crucial aspect of whether you win games or not. That's what strikers need to do. In those positions, stick the ball in the net, don't they?
Yep. Another thing I was going to say to you guys, what were you laughing at, Roughie?
God should know that, shouldn't you?
Well, I'm not a
You
striker.
win games.
Yeah. We've yet to have a story on the programme where Gordon scores and his team loses every game. It's like a Roy and the Rovers story, Macca. Gordon always scores. We actually went out to take question and answer from school kids one day, and every question to Gordon involved him scoring the winning goal in a fantastic game. It was
Just by sheer chance.
yeah, absolutely.
What was your first cup final? Yeah, well, I scored that. First goal from you? Yeah, well, I scored two. I couldn't help it. It's factual. It's not opinion.
The winner against Juventus.
I played that one as well. But I missed in the FA Cup final.
No. Tell us about that. How did that
I know none of you know about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It never gets mentioned.
No. No. I wonder if he scored first in that one as well, though.
Well,
it'll all come out. Listen, let's look at the Premiership, because I think Mahrez is the star of the day, Macca, with West Ham. No goals in the game against Manchester United, but Mahrez is the star of the day so far, because, quite simply, Swansea are right up against it with Leicester.
Well, I think so. We were talking about it earlier, but Gary Monk might be under pressure, and the Leicester team, I'm impressed with it. I mean, I really am impressed with them, because when you watch them, they look so as if they're really enjoying themselves. You know, it's not like a lot of teams are just like robots, and they go out there and they're getting paid extreme amount of money, and they don't seem to be enjoying it. And I think a lot of them forget, you know, that they fall in love with the game. That's what it is, and before the money comes, and it doesn't matter how much money, you should still go out and enjoy it. And I think that's what Leicester do.
Yeah.
They go out and they'll enjoy themselves, and I think they're a good, you know, Mahrez a good fall for Vardy, that's for sure.
Well, Troy Deeney has scored from the penalty spot for Watford, so they are a goal up in their game. Watford leading at the moment against Norwich City. Here's the latest from the Premiership, Macca. What do you make of it all? Stoke City against Man City is certainly the scoreline so far, but Mahrez, the hero for Leicester, and Troy Deeney, they're just adding that one. And of course, Del Ali has scored for Tottenham at West Brom.
Well, it's good. I mean, I'm impressed that Arsenal haven't scored against Sunderland yet, because Big Sam must be just putting a wall up there, because I wouldn't imagine Sunderland to have too many attacking options. So it's just down to Arsenal whether they want to have shots or if they want to try and mock it in. But I expected a few goals from the Arsenal.
They won the last couple of games, Sunderland, though. I mean, they have had a good little spell. The last 2 games they did well, didn't
Well, that's what he does. He keeps teams in the Premier League. It's as simple as that. And whether you like him or loathe him, Sam Allardyce's football, there's a style, there's a solidity about the back line. He makes it difficult for his team to be beaten, and he's trying to do that with a Sunderland side, may I add, that has an owner that I think on a number of occasions has pulled the trigger too quickly on a manager. Martin O'Neill still feels pain from being let go. Steve Bruce equally so.
Yeah, that's right. I think he's a bit harsh at times, and as I say, he's got Sam Allardyce in. His one remit is obviously just to keep them in the league. And they're just above the relegation zone. But if he gets the sort of form they're in, as I said about, I see East Kilbride have lost, Stennismuir have equalised against East Kilbride in the Scottish Cup. But I think that in that respect, I think that if he does that, then he's got a good record of doing that, Sam Allardyce, and I think that he needs to be given the time if he does the job in order to stay there.
Yep. So the Scottish Cup match there, as Gordon Smith, you mentioned there, is all level again. I don't think you can split these two teams. They're having a real go at each other. East Kilbride clearly think they've got a cup scalp, but Stennismuir just keep coming back. It's now 1-1 in that match, and Arsenal 1, Sunderland 0. Just so soon after I was talking about it, Micah.
That could be the gates opening, because Big Sam. The thing about Sam is, he does that with clubs, keeps them there, but he's not got a good rapport with the fans, no matter where he's been. I mean, at Newcastle, the fans couldn't stand him, and West Ham fans didn't like him. And he's at Sunderland, he used to play there, so I thought that might have been a match, but I thought Arsenal would win comfortable today. I think
Joel Campbell scored the goal, Micah, for Arsenal. He is a player that has gone out on loan and has come back to try and cement his place. I'm not quite sure he has a long-term future there, because when you're talking about Arsenal looking at the likes of Benzema and trying to reinforce it with top draw strikers, that doesn't bode well for one.
That's what I've always said. They need that Benzema. They need someone, or a Muller, or someone that's a top striker, because that would just complement the Arsenal team, because they're great football-wise. They're great to watch, but they just don't have that killer instinct. And and to get a top striker, I don't think Campbell's going to be the man. So maybe an Ian Wright would have done. And this Arsenal team would have been superb. They'd have scored a lot of goals.
Yep. Apologies to the Campbell family if they're on holiday here in Scotland and we've completely written them off. But nevertheless, he scored today. Who knows? If you keep scoring, suddenly a manager starts to look at you in a different light, as Jamie Vardy will testify with Claudio Ranieri. And I thought it was great the other week there, Ranieri, talking about Vardy and how so many of his friends are thinking, what's it all about with this guy? Have you ever seen anybody score with great regularity like this? And he's just been heaping praise on him, and rightly so, Roughie, because he puts in a shift.
Yeah, I mean, as Frank said, you come from very far down the leagues, and to go into that Premier League with the big superstars, and I suppose it would have taken him a wee while to get his head round of just being in a dressing room. But maybe not at Leicester, but I mean, coming up against international players, so you have to give him all the credit in the world. We all know, the guys will tell you, that goals dry up, so take them while they're there, take them every week, because he will go through a bad spell.
I just got your thoughts. Get your thoughts on this week. Some of the other headlines that were coming through, Gordon, that we were talking about over the course of the week on the show. I mean, Mark Warburton finally today didn't get the game, get the go-ahead for Wraith Rovers against Rangers, but I think he can put last week behind him, because there was so much speculation linking him with a job at Fulham. Fulham hadn't made an inquiry. He said there'd been no inquiry. He was getting a little bit, I think it was much ado about nothing. He was getting a little upset about it. I mean, once he gets back into the Premier League, he'll realise what getting upset's all about, rather than worrying about whether a club's interested in him. And Roughie and I were saying, he hasn't really done anything yet. No,
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, he's got certain things to achieve. One of them is promotion for Rangers. And then if the Rangers get promotion, the next thing he has to achieve is he has to get a challenging team, which means a team up in the top part of the league, in the top 2 or 3 spaces. And then third part is to actually go and win something and actually challenge for the league title and win a cup maybe or something. So he's got these 3 stages to go through. So this is the initial one. He's got a good reputation, but it was at Brentford as well. And a lot of people are saying, Fulham and Queen's Park Rangers aren't the top clubs at the moment in London. You're looking at other clubs in London that are the top clubs. So he's getting linked with those sort of jobs, and he's probably quite right to come out and say, no, his stock isn't at a level yet that he can go for the top jobs. So he's quite right to be saying, no, I'm sticking with what I'm doing.
I think he speaks well, and he does it right. And he was right, but he said the other day that he says it's disrespectful to talk about other clubs, which is true. The press seem to do that all the time, and the media. That's their job. That's what we're there for, and you've got to jump on it. But sometimes I can understand what he's saying. He says it's disrespectful. I've not been asked, and so we just leave it. But I think he's got the players to buy into what he's wanting, and I think the players like him. And of course David Weir's there, so he keeps him right in certain things to do with Rangers. But
I think he admitted frankly he was pleased to be linked to other jobs.
Yes, of course,
every manager does want that, don't
yeah, of course.
But he maybe should have come out earlier and said, look, I'm not going, because it wasn't, because also at the time when he came out and said he wasn't going anywhere, it was at the time when Fulham were actually making a statement as well saying we have not made any inquiry whatsoever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's when he came out and said, I'm not going.
I always think, Roughie, especially managers of Celtic and Rangers, there is a period when they come in and there's almost a sparkle in their eye, and then we grind them down and annoy the life out of them, and then eventually you get. Mark Warburton's come in. He's a really nice, amiable guy. Gets on with people, able to talk about the football, and which again, let's be honest about it, Ali McCoy's very rarely come into a press conference and talked about any game. Yeah, no. It was always about the madness that was going on behind. Yeah. And this, Rangers managers had the chance to actually just sit there and concentrate on the football. This is the first time I think. The media, we've all started to just nip away at a story which is really out of nothing.
I think he'll realise now that Rangers and Celtic sell newspapers in Scotland. They cover most of the pages. So if you're doing reasonably well, they'll always pick up on something. To get away from the well done sort of a thing. That's what sells papers most of the times. But I agree with you. I don't think he knows what's going to happen when he gets back into the SPFL, because if he is losing like 2 games in a row or whatever, then questions will be asked, and then he'll have to, not sharpen up, but he'll have to be aware that when he walks into a press conference, there are people in there who are going to ask him questions. And they're not going to bat away from it. They'll be wanting an answer.
Yep, absolutely. West Brom have equalised against Tottenham. It's just a minor blip. Don't worry about it. West Brom have got the equaliser. It's now 1-1. Dunfermline are a goal up on Brecon City in League One, so we're keeping you right up to date with what's happening across all the divisions here north and south of the border as well on a Saturday afternoon with Roughie, Gordon Smith and Frank McAvenny, and over the course of the 4 hours, if you want to interact with us, you can at Peter and Roughie on Twitter, facebook.com even / Peter and Roughie, and peterandruffy.com. Give us your thoughts on your favourite team, any topic you want to talk about, any incident that's annoyed you over the course of the week, and we'd be more than happy to get the guys to give you their opinion on it as well. Roughie?
Yes, that's a nice wee tweet from Celtic. Have donated all the food from the day's game that was cancelled to the homeless charities throughout the city.
Yeah, full marks to them, I think. Great little gesture as well. I think today, I think it's only right of me to mention something. Footballers at times are much maligned, for any incident that's highlighted in the press about in a negative sort of way. I would like to pay tribute to a lot of teams who go out of their way to go to hospitals. I notice Celtic and Rangers always get the pictures in the national newspapers. Celtic were at York Hill handing out presents to the kids, and it's a great time. Hearts, Hibs, every one of the clubs you can think of in Scotland, they go out there and they make sure that they try and make some sick kids or some people who are in hospital and are not as well off as they should be, just make it a special day for them.
Yeah, they do it every year. They do it. Even from my day, it was a case you went out and you did it. Not maybe as much publicity as you get now, because you get a lot more media involvement, I think, than we had nowadays.
Every week, it was once a week.
Yeah.
I was going to say.
The manager, on a Friday, the manager would get you in and you had to sign all the jerseys, and he'll say, right, you're going to the hospital, or you're going to a supporters club, but you're going to and you had to do it. It was just something, even if you only go for an hour before you go out on a Saturday night, you've got to go, because the supporters were a big thing. They don't do that now. You know, and Roughie says, you know, Celtic giving all the food away, it was, when you played, they just gave it to you, didn't they?
I think harsh, to be honest with you. Don't fall for it, don't bite Roughie. At least not until the starter comes out.
I would say, when Frank was saying it was every Friday Billy used to come in with a pile and say who would like to go to York Hill, who would like to go, and I have to say, although he's not longer with us, Tommy Burns would take the burden more than anybody else. He would take, burden's not the right word, but he would take the task on to go to 4 or 5. He really got a kick out of going and meeting people and talking to people and the kids.
And can I suggest, I just want to pick up on a point you made there, Frank. It's maybe not as many players are willing to do it, but they still do it.
They still do it, of course they do. It's just they don't do it as often. They still do it, but they don't do it as often, and I would like to see that, because there's a lot of people a lot worse off than footballers, and what does it take, half hour to go and visit somebody in hospital, and I know they do it, but it just, the supporters clubs is the one I'm thinking about, because they don't get the players now. Players don't go to supporters clubs now. They never see them.
Well, I would.
It's always past players.
I would again counter that, only, and I'm not being highly critical of you, because you've played for certain clubs and you know exactly how they operate, but I would suggest to you that lots of other clubs out with the big clubs do actually have, for example, Mark McGee was out speaking in a supporters gathering for a Q&A only in the last couple of weeks. Lots of Motherwell players, Falkirk players out in the community, all doing things to try and make sure that there's that they understand, and can actually get the fans to think, well, I'm going to go back and see them. So I think there's a lot of provincial clubs.
I think once you've been out and seen the circumstances of some kids are in hospital at this particular time, it does touch you, and I think it makes you want to go back. It makes you want to, because you don't see that side of it. You don't see it unless it's in your family. So you can see what other families are going through. So you really appreciate.
I used to go a lot to the York Hill, because before I moved into a house, I had renting a flat in Partick to my house was ready, and I just used to go, because it saved all the boys, travelling, because I just lived around the corner from it, so I used to go quite a lot.
Kids' hospices as well, which it's sad to go along and see it. It's such a shame, but it's worth going along and spending time and helping them.
Absolutely. I'll tell you right now, Ross County 0, St Johnstone 2. That away record just keeps getting better and better. Spoonie has scored the goal. Southampton 1, Aston Villa 0, I think, is the score just coming in as well. So goals flying in. Southampton 0, Aston Villa 1, I beg your pardon. The other way around there, just as I looked at the teleprinter. I just said that for you too, just to make you feel at home there.
The Fairland have gone 2-0 up as well at home. So
thanks, lads.
That could be a good result for Aston Villa, because coming back on, it was the first team Southampton put out against Liverpool, and Big Van Dijk was lost a little bit the other night, to say the least. I've never seen somebody with his hands up as if to say what's happening.
What about Wotherspoon? That's his second of the day.
Absolutely. As I say, I know you guys disagreed earlier on, but I just felt St Johnstone today, because of the form that they've been in away from home, I just felt St Johnstone could get an away win today, and they're looking like they're heading that way.
Arsenal 1, Sunderland 1. You see, Maka, you just have to think about it.
Well, I know that Sanchez is not playing, but he shouldn't make that much to the Arsenal team. It shouldn't make that much of a difference. I know he's a wonderful.
Here's one for Roughie.
Player.
Cove Rangers 2, Formerton 0. Park with the goal, Roughie. What's your thoughts on that? Your immediate reaction to your team?
Well, the two top teams. I said they could go either way, but obviously Cove with a home advantage. But I think Formartin will still hang on in there. But they're another two teams that just want to get into the next round.
I can tell you the Sunderland goal has been scored by Giroud, an own goal. So so that will
His
be a
confidence
blow. Yeah, exactly. He's always good for a goal, just not at that end. So Sunderland back on level
2-0.
terms. Yeah, St Johnstone 2-0. Both goals scored by David Wotherspoon, who I always thought Roughie was a good player at Hibs.
I was just going to ask you there, was it Terry Butcher that allowed him to leave? Was it the new regime of Alan Stubbs?
No, it definitely wasn't Stubbs. I think it must
I was surprised that, remember, they let him go, they let Liam go, and he went to St Johnstone. There was a few players that were at that stage when they were all getting released that he
Liam
was.
Craig, you mean?
Liam Craig, they let Liam Craig. That was
St
a
Johnstone
surprise
took
to
them
me.
both of them.
Yeah, and I was surprised Weatherspoon because he was a good wide player, he had a good delivery into the box and could score goals, and we've just seen there now. So when he left, I thought the Hibs supporters were saying, could he really get their heads around that one?
Yep, absolutely. So the ball's in the back of the net, and over the course of the afternoon, if you want to interact with us, you can at Peter and Roughie. Thanks for your messages on facebook.com/Peter and Roughie as well. You can interact on Twitter, give us your thoughts, your game called off, but anything you want to talk about with regards to your team, would be more than happy to get the thoughts of Alan Rough, Gordon Smith and Frank McAvaney. We'll have a half-time report from one of only 2 games actually in the Premiership now that are still playing, because obviously Dundee 0, Aberdeen 2 was the scoreline from earlier on today. Let's go to Rugby Park for the half-time now, and Craig Turnbull has the details.
Half time here at Rugby Park. It's Kilmarnock 1, Dundee United 1. A thoroughly entertaining first half with plenty of chances at both ends. Kilmarnock made a bright start when Chris Boyd got the goal after just 4 minutes. Great play from Josh McGuinness down the right hand side. He's been a threat all half. Played the ball into Boyd and he really couldn't miss from about 4 yards out. And then the game turned on its head on 24 minutes when Kilmarnock were reduced to 10 men. Stuart Findlay sent off for bringing down Ryan McGovern in the box, and Billy Mackay netted his 7th goal of the season from the penalty spot. He's the only player from United to score in the league since August. So Ben Pongolle had a great chance afterwards to score on his debut, but it was a good save from Jay McDonald. To be fair to Kilmarnock, they've kept going, nearly got back into it when Chris Boyd had a great chance again, but miscued his effort just before the end of that first tier. So it could go either way in this second half, but Dundee United probably won't have a better chance of getting a victory here. It's Kilmarnock 1, Dundee United 1.
Yep, it's a great chance for them to get all 3 points there. Craig Turnbull will keep us up to date with that for the second half as well. We'll bring you all the half-time scores as they come in, but of course in the Premiership there was one match today. Stoke 2, Manchester City 0. That kicked off early and it finished with a good win for Mark Hughes' side. And up in Dens Park, well, Aberdeen were really comfortable, Gordon Smith, it has to be said, in a 2-0 win over Dundee, and it didn't look in any doubt whatsoever.
No, right from the very start, Peter, I agree with you. They were controlling the game, always looked a threat. Good players, and McGinn and Hayes were in top form. McLean in midfield bursting through. Shinnie was in there too. The main thing was they kept it tight at the back today. That was a big factor. I think that's where Aberdeen had a good run in the early part of the season. They defended well, and they did that again today, because Dundee are a threat, but they never really caused Aberdeen any problems at the back at all.
Yep, and the day so far belongs to David Wotherspoon for St Johnstone. He scored both goals. They're leading Ross County at Dingwall by 2-0 in Dunfermline, 2-0 up on Brechin City 2. If you're looking for the half times, we will bring you all the latest scores from Scotland and England. We'll keep you right up to date throughout the afternoon, all the way through till 6 o'clock on STV Edinburgh and STV Glasgow. Welcome back to Peter and Roughie's Saturday Football Show. Alan Rough, Gordon Smith and Frank McAvenny are with me, Peter Martin. Half times across the country now. If you want to check that coupon or just stay in touch with your team. Here's the Scottish Premiership as it stands. Dundee 0, Aberdeen 2 was the early kick-off. Aberdeen in complete control in that match and going away with all 3 points. Celtic against Hamilton, Hearts, Inverness and Partick Thistle against Motherwell, sadly falling foul of the weather and Storm Desmond, to be more precise. Kilmarnock 1, Dundee United 1, Killie down to 10 men in that game, so Dundee United really have a good chance to try and get some confidence boosting points on the board. Second half to come. Ross County 0, St Johnstone 2, David Witherspoon with both goals there. What about the Championship? Only one match really that we can concentrate on. It's at the top there. Alloa 0, Dumbarton 0. All the other matches postponed due to weather conditions. And in League One for us here, not too many matches again on. It was Dunfermline 2, Brecon City 0 at half time. Alan Johnson's side in complete control there, and Stirling Albion 0, Elgin City 1. Down south in the Barclays Premier League, here's how it looks. The early kick-off, it was Stoke City 2, Manchester City 0. Arsenal were a goal up against Sunderland. Joel Campbell scoring, and then another Arsenal player has scored. It was Giroud who scored the equaliser, an own goal for Sunderland. 1-1 there. No goals between Manchester United and West Ham. Southampton 0, Aston Villa 1. Swansea 0, Leicester 2. Mahrez with a double there. Watford 1, Norwich 0. And West Brom 1, Tottenham 1. Chelsea against Bournemouth is the 5:30 kick-off. So that's how it looks in the Barclays Premier League as well. But as we were discussing those games in Scotland, we mentioned Aberdeen and the positives they can take at the bottom end of the table. This could be one of those confidence boosting moments for Dundee United if they can grasp it.
Yeah, definitely. I think that, you know, a bad start to the game today, I felt they could get something from the game. We did say it would depend how Kilmarnock played against them, and Kilmarnock had obviously got it right at the very start, got 1-0, but the big turning point can be the situation where a player gets sent off. You mean, you get a penalty. A lot of people still say that, I mean, I remember having discussions once at FIFA about it in one of the committees, Peter, where they said it's a triple sanction when somebody gives away a penalty, because you get sent off and you get a penalty kick, so you're getting a goal from it, probably, and then you get the player also gets a 1-game suspension as well. So it's 3 punishments for one incident.
Yeah.
But Dundee United benefited from today because they're already up against 10 men. And the fact is that you know, if they take it forward, I came up with an idea and thought this is one maybe discuss someday, to say if you get the penalty and you score, the player doesn't get sent off. It's only if you miss that he's sent off. So.
Yeah, I think that I can answer that right now for Roughie and myself and Maka. If the player in question is Messi, you blaze the ball over the bar and make sure that you don't score. If, on the other hand, it's Maka or Roughie, you just try your best to score the goal. It's as simple as that. Give us your thoughts on that. What do you make? See, Gordon, he's always on these committees. He's always put things forward. It's been like that since he invented the wheel. It's as simple as that. That's how far back he's been on a committee. Anyway, but still no investigation, despite Roughie and myself submitting so many sheets of paper with details on the background. Maybe too much of a hot topic at the moment. We're back after the break with the second half. Welcome back to Peter and Roughie's Saturday football show across the country, north and south of the border. Games just getting underway at the start of the second half. If there's a goal anywhere, we'll keep you up to date with it. We'll also keep you up to date with what's happening in the Premiership here in Scotland. We had reporters at key games today, but one by one they've fallen foul of the weather, and slowly but surely the card has been decimated today due to the conditions over the last 24 hours. A lot of waterlogged pitches, and of course difficulty for fans travelling to the games as well. So hopefully you're enjoying our updates on the other matches as the ball hits the back of the net. It's going to be a day, certainly there might be the odd shock here and there if Dundee United can get in about it in the second half. They are against 10-man Kilmarnock. It's 1-1 and nicely balanced at the moment. Frank McAvenny, Gordon Smith and Alan Rough are here with me, Peter Martin. A couple of shock results across Europe at the moment. What about Borussia Mönchengladbach? They're 3-0 up on Bayern Munich. It's all too rare, Gordon Smith, when you hear of Bayern Munich losing a game.
Absolutely. I mean, they're sitting at the top of the league just now in Germany, 8 points clear, and Borussia Mönchengladbach obviously 5th place in the league, so they're a decent side, but you never hear that in Germany nowadays. Bayern getting hammered by anybody, so that's a bit of a real shock result.
Yeah, absolutely. Getafe 4-0 down to Real Madrid, so no worries there. And of course, there's a match this evening that I think will be interesting because Barcelona against Valencia, and then Gary Neville takes charge of Valencia on the Monday. That's in the contract.
Yeah.
I'll take over the Monday.
I'll come and watch the game.
He was given the option and he decided, I'm going to wait until afterwards.
Well, with all due respect,
I'll let my brother take charge of that.
He'll be sacking him tonight.
Yeah, well, what can you do with these things? The details of when some of the matches that have been postponed will be rearranged will no doubt come out very shortly. Maybe not today, but certainly by Monday. I think a few clubs will know when those matches will be played. Incidentally, if Hearts actually don't get the game rearranged quickly, they won't have any home matches until after Christmas.
That's right, and big game next week. They play Aberdeen at Pittodrie, so that's a cracker now. With the fact is that Aberdeen have now got the 4-point lead over Hearts. Game in hand, obviously Hearts have, but it's at Pittodrie. So you're right, mostly away games, but sometimes that some of the teams don't really get affected too much by it. Some teams, you take St Johnstone for example. We talked about it earlier on, Peter. They're the best chances of getting results are away from home. So some teams are more comfortable playing away from home. Aberdeen have won today at Dens Park, so sometimes you're under more pressure playing home games. But Hearts, you're right, with that game being off today, that would be an opportunity for them. But I think Hearts are just sticking to what they were, their whole remit for this season, their whole aim, their goal was to stay in the Premier Division and be in the top 6, and they're doing that comfortably.
Yeah, easily. I don't think there was any doubt they were going to get relegated. They are doing well, and of course I hope the new stand is as close as the old stand, Roughie. Obviously we were joking about the press facilities may well be enhanced from the very, very tight sardine-like situation we have at the moment, but it's all about the supporters. What you want is a ground and a stand that is as intimidating as the other three. Nice, close to the pitch, enclosed, 20,000 capacity. That would be great for the Jambos.
And it's good. I mean, we've all experienced what like it has been there, and as a great atmosphere, particularly if you're winning. You know, that didn't happen very often with me. So, I couldn't really graft saying, "Oh, I love playing there," because the record I had was shocking. But it's good that most of the players we have coming on experience that. We had who did we have on yesterday?
Ziggy Gordon.
With Ziggy, and the players are coming on saying they love it. They absolutely just love going there. They love, particularly cup games, when there's something just a wee bit special. And certainly a new stand, if it's in the same sort of a structure as the other ones, which I would expect it to be, and it's really cornered in, it'll be a fantastic.
Well, we enjoyed it because we used to win all the time, didn't we?
Just remember, the views of Gordon Smith and Frank McAvenny are not necessarily the views in the programme, just in case people are throwing things at the telly in Edinburgh now with these two characters. I mean, if it's a great, as long as it's a standard, I think is befitting of the other three as well, up to that standard. I'm sure it will be. Although Anne Budge did mention the last thing she wanted to be, tarred with is building a stand that blocks out the view to the castle.
I know.
Which it really is. It's a fantastic sight, to see the ground and that camera zooming in, and there's the castle in the background. There's nothing better, in my mind, than seeing that view.
It's terrific. I think I'm right in saying one of the things that saved Hearts when the whole problem came with the owners was the fact that they weren't allowed to sell the stadium, because I think the Edinburgh Council had said to them that it was a listed area and they couldn't then sell it off, because that was one of the ways the people who were put when it went into administration, and then they said one of the ways they could raise their money, the Lithuanians, was to sell Tynecastle in order to build houses and all that sort of thing, and they were told they couldn't do that. So that's why it's the Hearts are staying there, which was great. It was a great thing to do, and that kept it, and it's kept the club there, because you want to see the old stadium. I mean, I still feel the same when I'm down in Manchester for Man City, and they moved from Main Road and they went to the Commonwealth Stadium, as you know. I don't think it's the same ground at all. Main Road was a fantastic atmosphere in a real heartland part community of Manchester, and it's changed away. So I think do up the ground where it originally was. Make it more modern, but don't move it away to another area.
I think it's because you were used to that when you were down there. But these modern day players now, they're wanting the big stadiums. They're wanting it doesn't bother them going to the Olympics. If it's West Ham going to the Olympic Stadium, it's all going to be changed. They'll take it in stride, I would think, the big players.
Yeah, but I think at Hearts, when they try to build the main stand, I think there's one or two more stages to go, and it's just acquiring the legalities of the land in the surrounding area. And once that's all done and dusted, I don't think there'll be any further obstacles in the way.
Will they have to move while that's going on? Is it?
Well, I wouldn't imagine them moving. I would imagine basically just three ends, and it's going to be
doing a close season.
Or if there's any structural work.
We played, and it was a board that was up, and it was all faces as if it was a crowd.
That was Highbury.
Was it Highbury?
Yes, behind the goals.
It was incredible.
Yeah,
it was absolutely incredible. Just all these bodies on the wall.
I played for Rangers in the time when they built their stands. I was playing for Rangers.
Yeah.
Even that game you were talking about, Roughie, the Juventus game, the end we scored the winning goal. There was no fans there. It was just an open end, because it was like we were building the stands at the time.
What was that? The end you scored the winning goal?
Yeah.
And there was no fans there?
No.
Did you run back to the other end to get to the fans' adulation?
I waved to the no fans over there.
That's fine.
I was more popular with them.
Never a truer one spoken. Well done, Gordon. Listen, surprisingly, I'm still waiting on a goal at the start of the second half, because there isn't one to talk about. It's still, the Premiership, still St Johnstone in control, 2 goals up. It's still 1-1 between Kilmarnock and Dundee United. Let's get a little flavour of Rugby Park to find out what's happening from Craig Turnbull.
Yeah, Peter, it's Kilmarnock 1, Dundee United 1. We've played about 3 minutes of the second half. No changes from either side at half time, and Billy Mackay's goal still cancelling out Chris Boyd's early strike. It's Dundee United who have perhaps started the second half a little bit better, and they've played a great chance there. And there looked to be a little pull on Blair Spittle as he got in behind the defence. Referee saw nothing wrong with it, but Dundee United certainly showing initiative early in the second half. It's Kilmarnock 1, Dundee United 1.
My main worry of that report was Craig actually saw that tug and the referee never.
Absolutely, which is all the more amazing when you consider the strength of Craig's glasses. which Craig could actually see the guy waving on the moon in the John Lewis advert, Roughie, with those glasses that he has. They're super strength, super powerful. But he's keeping us up to date with what's happening there at Rugby Park as well. I always like to pick up some stories that have been emerging through the week and get your thoughts on them as well. One of the ones that I mentioned there about Valencia taking on Barcelona, one of the suggestions today was that Messi, Suarez and Neymar are the best trio in football history. It's a tough one to call. I love little discussions like this in football, because when you think of there was a time in English football when there was a trio of players. You'd Best, Law, Charlton, you'd Lee, Summerby and Bell.
That's right.
So
you'd Rijkaard, Van Basten.
Van Basten.
And who's the third one?
Hullet.
Hullet.
Yeah.
So there's three great ones. You had Di Stefano, Puskas and Hento.
Yes.
Right, so I mean you can go through.
Hullet was a midfield more or less, wasn't he? Well, he's more a midfield player. I know he did, but he was more a midfield player. But these three are just.
There's three as a front three. Yeah.
No, just as a trio. I mean,
I know a three, but Ali Md ever had a front three as such.
No.
You know, they was front pairs, wasn't it?
How many goals do you think they've scored in this last year together combined?
This season, or
I would say
last year.
112.
112. Roughy,
97.
just out of curiosity, when I asked that question, why did you
I was
go?
counting, and I was going 77.
What were you saying?
I was using my fingers.
All right, okay.
80 odd.
80
something.
Yeah, 155.
So I was closest, but well out.
155.
155. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Incredible.
I mean, that is incredible, isn't it?
Messi's got
Look at
100.
Ruffy. He's looking
can't believe
Messi's
it.
made it up.
Messi's
An
got
average of
100.
the three of them scoring 50 each.
Well,
No, Messi got 100.
That's exactly it, Ruffy. Over the last year.
Aye.
Messi last season got 61.
61
I think it was.
goals. That's
Messi
incredible.
last
So, I mean, it's incredible. Three of them are unbelievable.
And they're talking about not giving him a contract. They're saying Neymar's more important than him now.
Well,
Steve,
as I
they're
said to you, Matthew, you always treat that with a pinch of salt.
And not
It's
just
a
the thing about it,
nonsense.
Pierre, is they're not just goal scorers. To be fair, they are also
they're
great players. That's
Yeah.
the thing, and that's why I'm saying the three I mentioned, the three Dutch ones we talked about, were all superb. I mean, Van Basten was a fantastic goal scorer. Rijkaard and Hullet were great players as well. I mean, you look at the record of Puskas. I mean, I mentioned Puskas to Stefano. European Cup final, 7 goals against Eintracht. Puskas got 4 and Di Stefano got 3. So that's great.
I know, but
Yeah,
it's a throwback. It's a throwback.
We don't have any
it's a
modern.
throwback to old
Apart
days.
from these three, we don't have another modern three, do we?
But when they went there,
Well, if they were
to be
talking
honest
to
with you,
these
I think that if you were, you know, we love to try and get fans out to Scottish games
that's
because
what we do.
you can talk about, you know, great bits of skill or guys who scored goals over the last few years. This is a Barcelona set of fans who've actually been able to sample 3 great teams. I mean, the 2006 had Ronaldinho and Samuel Eto'o. It also had Henrik Larsson in that side who made the difference in the Champions League final. But Ronaldinho and Samuel Eto'o were there with Ludovic Giuly, the French lad who was playing in the midfield for them as well. They had a great side. Then you move it on, and you know they had Messi with Ronaldinho in the team.
Ibrahimovic was there as well.
Well, Ibrahimovic was there for a year until obviously eventually they had to get rid of him because
couldn't get to 40 goals a year.
But see 3 players. I mean, I'll tell you a good point as well. 3 great players to mention in a Barcelona team. Messi, Xavi and Iniesta.
Yes.
There's another 3 to say they made that team, I think.
Yeah.
when Suarez signed, they were saying it's going to be hard for the manager to pick 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just 3. He's going to play.
Absolutely, that's the thing about it.
Incredible,
And as Roughie says, you know, your managers, you know, the talk before you send them out is, right lads, let's just go out there and enjoy ourselves. On you go, no tactics.
Nothing fancy.
You could do all this dribbling stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. No flickovers in case the Scottish press are mental.
Do you know what? Big Jock would have loved that team because that's what he wanted, entertain people. That's what he was all about it. And he would have enjoyed watching the Barcelona team.
We want people to get out there. Hey, the fight back's on. Cove Rangers 2 for Martin 1, Roughie. Suddenly we're in a situation where your team are back in it, not giving up just yet.
I bet there's a reasonable crowd at that today as well. I think that would match maybe 2,000, 2,500 at that game.
They're cuddled
Cuddled in together.
Is that a derby game?
Well, they're 2 of the top teams, so I mean, they're in the league, it's either one of the 2 of them that win it. So yeah, I think it'll be very, very competitive.
Okay, Stirling 1, Elgin City 1 as well in League 2. Still Dunfermline leading Brecon City by 2-0 in League 1 as well. And in the Championship, well, only one match got the go-ahead, and we've subjected Derek Clark to it, and there's no goals. No goals.
It must be
no 3G, no 4G, nothing. So what a day it is out there at Alloa against Dumbarton. And of course, it'll be great for the people of Alloa when they eventually get satellite as well in there. It'll be fantastic. I'm only kidding. But Ross County, Nelson Johnston 2, David Wotherspoon with both goals. And still, Killy 1, Dundee United 1. It's 2 goal scorers, Macca, that you will appreciate. Chris Boyd scoring, albeit his 3rd of the season. I'm not betting Roughie that he'll even get 10 this season. And Billy Mackay.
Well, Billy Mackay, we knew. I mean, John Hughes was raving about him. He liked him and he couldn't try to get him back. And Dundee United took him obviously more money, but he's a goal scorer. As Gordon says, he misses some chances, and he'll need to start. You know, when he's getting fitter and put them away. But he still scores a lot of goals. I mean, you just week in week out you're hearing he was either scoring or he's involved. And it's good, and we can say about Chris Boyd. He's done it wherever he's went. He's not manager's favourite kind of player. He won't put a lot of effort in, but you put that ball in between the goalposts and he'll stick it away. Yeah.
The problem is with Mackay is there's too much of a reliance on him when you think about it. Because I mean, Craig made the point. He's the only player that scored for Dundee United since August.
Yes.
That is a little bit saying, who are we going to score for us today? You, Billy?
Yes, absolutely. If he wins any kind of Player of the Year award, I don't think he thanks his teammates.
I know.
You know, it's. Did you win any Player of the Year award, Macca?
Yeah.
Yeah? Oh, wait a minute, don't look at that arrogant. Yeah, as if. I mean, Player of the Year actually from your players.
Aye.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What year was that? Player of the Year.
I got the one. I was. I got the 2 in Scotland, but I never got them because I left.
Right. Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
I'd won the Player of the Year and all that, and I'd been told I'd won it. Won Players Player and the Sports Writers, and never get any of them.
What, you never got the award?
Never got the award because I left.
Did it go to someone else?
Yeah.
Ah, right, okay. So you were done out of it, really?
Who got it?
I got it. I think it was Richard Goff or something, I'm not sure. So
Yeah, okay. Well, that's interesting.
He's good, good replacement.
I'll need to research that to see whatever happened to that award with the football writers. Let's go to Rugby Park. Something's happened there, Craig Turnbull.
Yeah, it was a chance there for Dundee United, the first real chance of the second half. It was good play between Mackay and Spittle. He played the ball into Paul Dixon, but the left foot shot just from the edge of the box was drilled wide of the post. It's Dundee United who have certainly played better in this second half. Kilmarnock not quite getting as much freedom with the 10 men. It's Kilmarnock 1, Dundee United 1.
Yep. And also, it's just as Craig was talking there, Macca likes to have a wee whisper to me every now and then just to see how West Ham are doing. Still 0-0, Master Macca. I'm glad you whispered, because the last thing we want to do is upset the Man United or the West Ham fans, who probably are completely and utterly bored in that match.
Well, Man United fans will be bored because they keep passing it across and passing it back, whereas West Ham they've took a lot of scalps away from home this year. Yeah, big ones. You know, they went Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City. You know, what a time to go if they beat Man United at Old Trafford. It would be tremendous.
Well, it's interesting, Peter. You look at the top 4 in England. Man City have lost. Arsenal are drawing at home with Sunderland. Man United are drawing, and the only team in the top 4 that are doing well are Leicester again, who are winning away from home.
Yeah, and that question that I was about to pose to you, Roughie, is quite simply all eyes on that match, just to see if Vardy could somehow get that all-important goal.
That'd be fantastic. The goal scorers in the audience and the studio here will tell you it's always records that you hold on to. You know, you want to be that guy that everybody talks about in 10, 15 years, 20 years, and breaking records is what it's all about, and I think we all want him to do it.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, over the course of the afternoon you can interact with us. We'll be reading out some of your tweets as well at Peter and Roughie on Twitter and Facebook.com/Peter and Roughie. We got one in there from a gentleman who I'm looking for his name here, Macca, but he just basically said he's got an 11-a-side match tomorrow. Could you ask Anthony Stokes if he's available for us? As you mentioned that he's desperate to play sixes as well. I'm sure in January Anthony Stokes will almost certainly get game time, whether it's at Celtic. I have my doubts.
I hope so, because it's not nice seeing any, not just for Stokes, but for any footballer. They want to play, and if you're not part of the setup and all that, then just I think it's cool just not to do anything with them. So I know he's got problems. I know he's done a few things, but you know, you want players to play, and just if he's not going to be part of it, let him go.
Roughie?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Obviously, everybody can't play, and every footballer as an individual treats things differently. There are players who get their head down and work harder. There are players who maybe just say, oh, well, I want to move, I'll just move out here, I'm not getting the game. And that's just the way it is. So, yeah. I mean, we saw it with Lee Griffiths, who looked as if he was on a rocky slope, and he managed to turn it round. So, but I don't think that's the case with Stokes. I think he's destined to move on.
Yeah, can I just say thank you to Roy Little, who posted a message to us on Facebook. Thanks, Roy. There was structural damage to the stadium at Falkirk. I didn't think for a minute that there would be anything to do with the pitch, because it's immaculate and great to play on.
Same as the Fourth Road Bridge, isn't it? It's structural.
Yeah.
It's Falkirk's a great stadium to play in as well, and you want to go a bit artificial. It's incredible. But you thought it was water outside the stadium, didn't you?
For Celtic, there was a lot of water outside as well with Celtic, and of course all the conditions getting to the match too. Also, Olivier Giroud has scored at the right end this time for Arsenal. They're 2-1 up on Sunderland. So Giroud has scored 2 on the day, 1 for Sunderland, 1 for Arsenal. I think he'll obviously be hoping that's his final contribution in this one. Also, Thomas Urquhart has sent us a message on Facebook saying, I heard a rumour that Hibs were going to get Scott Allen and Anthony Stokes from Celtic till the end of the season. Have you heard anything on that? Well, I would be absolutely gobsmacked. Let me just say, I think I did suggest Stokes was possibly one of those ideal moments if Leanne Dempster was sitting down with Alan Stubbs and saying, what could make the difference regardless of what happens at Ibrox? What about what could make the difference for Hibs in the run-in? And Anthony Stokes for me is something that would make sense if they don't get rid of him, Maka. I still think that the bet here, the money in the January transfer window, is to sell him to a Championship club or a League One club.
Or loan him.
Or loan him, but I still think if Hibs were there, I would make the call, would you?
If I was Hibs, I would be saying, well, this is a play you don't really want. We're not paying any money for him, but we're happy to take him off your hands. Because the extra money we'll have to pay in wages will make up for the transfer fee. So I would maybe do that if I was Hibs. But the Scott Allen one, I don't see that. I think he's now beginning to push for a place, a squad place, and maybe even finally a team place. Scott Allen. So I don't think he'll be going out from Celtic. I think he'll stay in the squad. Yeah,
I actually think Roughie, not that I think the two of them are similar players at all. I mean, I think Scott Brown is a huge loss for Celtic, but I think Scott Allen is one of those players that I've said, ad nauseum over the last 2 months, 3 months, they should build their team around him.
I think if you build the team round about him, you've got to have the right players round about him, because he is a luxury player. He is somebody who'll do something special. He's somebody who'll fall out of a game. He's somebody who possibly won't take part in the game when you're defending. I don't think he's the kind of guy who's going to get behind the ball and make tackles. So if you have got the right players round about him and you play a system that suits him, I think he'll be tremendous. I mean, we saw it with one pass he made to Lee Griffiths. I mean, a pass that nobody else on that park could have made that night, and he made it. And that's what he would bring to a Celtic team. And you would think with Celtic on the front foot, 90% of the games with a player like that, Celtic should be able to afford a player like that in their team.
I think it's not just that. When you go to a club like Celtic, they'll be wanting you to do the hard. You've got to do the hard work as well. And he might not have done it at Hibs or elsewhere where he's been, but I think he'll get made to do the graft in the midfield. If he's wanting to get nail a position down, I think he'll be doing the graft as well.
Yeah. But can I just say to you, some of the tweets we're getting in at Peter and Roughie are absolutely priceless on the trebles of great players that could rival Suarez, Messi and Neymar. And I like, I think it's Smurf Boy who says basically it was Pat Fenlon who let Witherspoon leave Hibs, which thank you very much for that. And also Brian has said to us Bannon, Milne and Sturrock. What about that for a treble? I mean, I have to say they
doesn't really ring off like Messi, Suarez and Neymar.
No. But the next one, the next one, I don't know where Seaside or Frankie's coming from, but he says Reggie Blinker, Philip Sebo and Bobby Petter. not even in the same team. But it was good. It was good to see.
There'll be ones for if you go through all the teams. I mean, Dundee United, that is correct. I mean, for that era, you could go to Aberdeen and say maybe it would be like Miller, McLeish, and McGee, or sort of Strachan, or something like that, couldn't it? I mean, every team's had three maybe major players. You could throw out three names. For over different eras for different teams.
There was a lot of defenders. I mean, it was Higgett and Airy and Goff, wasn't it? It was the defence. He was right. Goffey was right back at that time, but it was no for strikers. You didn't get many teams. Well, I didn't come up against many teams that just flung. I mean, Celtic, it was me and Andy Walker, but there was players going for everywhere. Yeah. But there was not three just out and out.
What about McGee?
Mark was making the tea.
Okay. I know Mark's watching.
Leicester have scored as well.
Leicester have got a goal. Oh, that's good news, because I think if that's the one that's the one I'm waiting on, and it's a hat trick for Mahrez. What about that? What do you make of it? What a day!
What saying? I'm not giving you the ball today.
Well, absolutely. If it was a penalty, Maka, would you hand it over to him?
Yeah. Of course he would. He was.
Yeah, you would, wouldn't you? That's what I like about you guys. Three decent lads.
I'm just asking. See, Giroud, he scored. That's him. 2 in that game.
Yes.
If he scores again, does he get the ball?
That's a very good question, Maka, because Divock Origi in midweek for Liverpool. What a great name that is. You're impressed, Roughie, that I remembered his first name, aren't you? But he scored a hat trick. Ross County 1, St Johnstone 2, let me tell you. But Origi scored a hat trick, but one of them was the shot came in from Moreno, and he just got the slightest of touches to deflect it in. And and I thought, how can you deny him the hat trick? He's had a good enough touch on it, and he got 3 goals.
In the same thought, what happens if Vardy scores an own goal? Does that count?
No.
No, that doesn't count.
Scored in every game.
I would take it.
But he's not scored for Leicester though.
Yeah, look at Gordon. Look at Gordon, and he's got his school teacher head on there, as if to say, listen, don't be stupid, boy, get at the back of the class. It's not in the right end.
Yeah, you failed your exam.
Yeah, exactly. Let me tell you, we're waiting for a goal in the Championship. Alloa 0, Dumbarton 1. And Dumbarton have scored from the corner. Now, what does that tell you? That tells you that the wind has played a major part. And here, just as I'm looking here, the goal scorer is S. Desmond. So Storm Desmond has scored the goal, Roughie, as you would expect.
Good name for it today, isn't it?
But realistically, I think the conditions will be playing their part there between Alloa and Dumbarton. But Dumbarton have got that all-important goal, and and it's exactly as you mentioned. If Dumbarton go on to win that game, suddenly you're starting to fear for what Danny Lennon's got there at Alloa.
Yeah, well, definitely it becomes a big lead. I mean, a 9-point gap opens up, and it's going to be really tough for Alloa, because if they're going to catch MD, you're looking at maybe it'll be Dumbarton or Livingston's the only 2 teams I think they can catch. So that's one of them taking the points off them if Dumbarton got all 3 points today. Yep,
and I have to apologise to anyone who's listening and really worried for me, because someone has tweeted in, hi, my girlfriend thinks you sound like Hugh Keevins with your cold, Peter. Well, there you are.
There you go.
I couldn't think of a better compliment. I couldn't think of a better compliment.
Senior Hugh.
I was just showing Gordon on the pad the Real Madrid game. Ronaldo being a team player, the Real Madrid player gets tripped up in the penalty box, but Benzema keeps going and scores, and Ronaldo's wanting a penalty.
Yeah, as you would. Yeah, because if you're a striker, Frank, you're greedy.
Of course. Well, I was more a team player, but you get out and out strikers like Tony Cottee was a poacher. Andy Walker was a poacher. He wanted to score goals, and you knew that.
What about Larsson, Sutton, and Hartson?
Great. Yeah. Great.
Well, they didn't all play together though.
Yeah, they did. They did.
Not really.
No, rarely.
They did.
Rarely.
Yeah, they did though.
Rarely. If Sutton went back to centre half.
Absolutely. Sutton moved out when Hartson came in. It was both of them together. It wasn't the 3 of them at the same time.
I can't believe you can't come up with a Rangers trio. I mean, I'm trying to think of.
It would have to be Cooper, Johnson, and. No, you're in midfield.
Yeah, Roughie, great. You just, that's it. The pupil hits back.
Would that have been?
Well, I'm trying to think about. Just
it was Big Derry must have played with somebody up front.
No, he played his own. We played a 4-3-3 with 2 wide.
Even back then,
who was the other wide player?
Tommy McLean.
McLean, Cooper, and Johnson.
Yeah.
And the three midfield players were Russell, myself, and Alec MacDonald.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Joseph, thank you for that tweet there, because I don't think we can argue about that one. But I mean, I loved watching Laudrup. Great player.
Laudrup, Gascoigne.
Or Laudrup, McCoist and Haitley.
Moore. Yeah.
That's a good one. I'm quite happy with that, Roughie. I wonder how many goals they scored.
Laudrup, McCoist and Haitley.
I don't think they played in the same team though.
What?
You know?
Laudrup and McCoist never played in the same team.
No.
In the same team?
No.
It sounded good.
Laudrup and McCoist. You think they played in the same team?
Yes.
I don't think they did.
No.
No, I might be wrong, but I don't.
I think you are.
No.
Absolutely.
Oh no.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm going for that one.
I'm sure we can find out.
Oh, what are you on about find out? I'm going to have it in 2 minutes before this programme finishes.
I think it's. I think it might be right, because he was running about the same year, wasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he joined in '83, and he just kept playing non-stop all the way through. And he played in the. I'll tell you even better than that. He played in the. Romo, who scored for Southampton, 1-1 against Aston Villa. But the other thing I was going to say to you is when Hearts won the Scottish Cup at Celtic Park, Ali McCoist was playing in the game.
Overhead kick.
No,
that was another.
No, Hearts won 2-1.
2-1.
Roughie, calm your jets.
Yeah, okay.
So he was playing.
And was Laudrup playing that?
Yes. So yeah. So
wasn't 83 Paul Gascoigne?
83 to 98, and Gascoigne was there as well. So there's absolutely no doubt. I mean, I think he would have. I still think Laudrup, McCoist, and Haitley's a good shout.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
playing the same team. Yeah,
I think so. I'm happy with that. Yep. Okay. Are we happy with Laudrup, McCoist, and Haitley?
God, I wish I hadn't mentioned it now.
Yeah. Not because in my head I could just see. I can remember Ali McCoist. I think he signed from Sunderland, and in his first Old Firm game, he scored very quickly in the match at Celtic Park.
Yeah.
In a game against Celtic at Celtic Park, I think he scored in his Old Firm debut. I wouldn't rule it out.
That 83 when he came. When
he scored at Celtic Park in one of his first Old Firm games.
Came to Rangers in 83, didn't he?
Yeah.
That's right.
So, because I remember, actually, and it makes me feel really old, but I can remember going to see Ali McCoist playing on a wet night at Muirfield, not Muirfield, St Johnstone's old ground. That's terrible that I don't remember St Johnstone's.
McDermott Park.
No, St Johnstone.
Muirfield. It was Muirfield.
Was it?
It was Muirfield.
You sure? That's a golf course. Muir something. Muirton Park. And it was pouring with rain, and he scored an absolute cracker. He played up front with John Brogan.
Yeah.
And I kept looking. I thought, wow, what a player he is. And everybody was raving about him. And I think he went down to join Sunderland, and then eventually Rangers got him back up.
Yeah, I played against him only when he was at Sunderland. I never ever played against him when he was at Rangers or St Johnstone. I played against him when he was playing for Sunderland though.
Yeah.
In the reserve team.
First team, yeah.
3-1.
Is it
3-1 for
Cove?
Cove.
Never played many games, did they? The first team.
He scored that day though against us. He scored the goal. Sunderland's goal.
Is that right?
Yeah.
3-1 for Cove Rangers against for Martin. It doesn't look good for Roughie side. I think they're heading out. We'll have a full statement from Alan Rough on his Scottish Cup team as they head out of the competition. Also, as far as there's another thing that's just Liam Boyce was the man who scored to give Ross County a chance to get back into that match. I had them down for a draw in that one. Roughie, what did you have?
Did you? I honestly, Peter, I can't remember.
You had 5-4.
You 5-4. I fancied the draw as well, didn't I?
It's 2-2 now. Ross County have equalised in that match. So 2-2, Roughie. I'm quite happy with that. If it ends there, I think I'll have gained a point on you. And it's Forfar 2, Queen's Park 1. Gus will not be a happy man. He was tweeting me last night about Ziggy Gordon looking too laid back in the chair. The Queen's Park manager thought he should be sitting up in the chair looking as if he's ready to be on and involved in a responsible show, but Ziggy looked so laid back, Mackay.
Right?
The show started and he's just sitting back there ready. He was lying back as if this is the norm for him. He was, as if he was on with Lorraine Kelly. No, well, he did. He looked as cool as ice, but Gus was having none of it. I'll tell you, Andrew Davies has scored for Ross County, so that makes it 2-2 in that match. Diego Costa, Maka, is on the bench again for Chelsea. Jose Mourinho just won't tolerate any dissent whatsoever.
He wasn't happy with him, was he? So he was, and he got asked about it last week, and he says he's left out of the team. He's fit. He's left out of the team.
Yeah.
He says I'm not having any of it. He said and it's quite right. So he picks the team and.
Maybe him and Anthony Stokes could just swap over then.
Yeah. Well, I think Celtic fans would be happy with that.
Absolutely, they would. I don't think.
Sorry, Stokes.
I think Anthony Stokes is only 27. He just wants to play football. I think he will go and score goals elsewhere. If he gets the right club.
I think he needs a club with a manager to put an arm around him, and one of these players that can have a chat with him, and because we know he's not. He's not the typical professional football player, so sometimes you've got to be able to handle them, and sometimes you need a manager who pays extra attention to them.
Yeah, here's the Chelsea side for the match against Bournemouth: Courtois, Ivanovic, Zuma, Cahill, Baba, Fabregas, Matic, Willian, Oscar, Pedro and Hazard. I don't think, apart from Cahill's the only home-based player in that Chelsea side.
Is he the only one that's come through the system?
Well, he doesn't come through their system. He played for Bolton. They signed him from Bolton, but he's the only British player in the side.
Yeah.
If Craig Levein had picked that side, he'd probably get slaughtered for not playing a striker.
Yeah. Well, it's a good point you make, Roughie, but I'm sure they've got enough.
They're at home against a team who can't win a game.
Yes, absolutely. Listen, I don't think I'd be too worried about it, but nevertheless, Templeman scored the goal for Forfar to make it 2-1. Here's a little point that I know I always like to pick up things, especially on a day like today, guys, when there's not a lot of Scottish games on. We're going to go to Rugby Park in a moment, but one of the other things that caught my eye in some of the little news snippets was the Old Firm match was ranked the second biggest football rivalry in the world, behind AC Milan and Inter Milan. Do you buy into that, Roughie?
No, I don't.
It was ranked the second biggest derby rivalry in the world.
I don't, because I think the Brazilian rivalries are as big.
Which
don't
one?
Quote me the two teams, Santos and Flamenco or something like that.
Yeah.
But I've seen them, and you're talking about 120,000 at the games. So I think they're as big. It's a difficult one to get your head around.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes
I think Barcelona Real Madrid is a massive rivalry, isn't it? I mean, there's a lot of goes on to hatred.
It's funny you should say that, by the way. I mentioned that to Henrik Larsson one day, and he looked at me and he went, "It's not a derby." This fantastic bang, thank you, Peter.
A derby, no, it's not a derby, it's a rivalry, but derby's two teams, local teams, that AC Milan.
Is that what a derby is, Gordon?
Yes, absolutely.
Just clear that up.
Thanks for that. I know Henry already told you, but I'm telling you again. It's a rivalry. Are they saying it's the biggest derby in the world? Is the Rangers Celtic, or is it just
the second biggest football rivalry behind AC and Inter?
They're not saying derby there.
Yeah, because I think derby matches is Boca River Plate not up there as one of the top derbies, but
see that Real
is it
Madrid,
bigger rivalry?
Real Madrid Barcelona is not it's the same way. I'll tell you, in England, I'll tell you what a massive rivalry is.
Liverpool Man United. That's
yes.
a big one.
Much more so than Man United, Man City, or Liverpool Everton.
Somebody was telling me the two Madrid teams rivalry is getting to fever pitch.
Quite strong, is it?
The Madrid game.
Atletico and Real.
Because Atletico's doing well now, isn't it? They tend to
but I
win
take
a lot
your
more
point,
games
Roughie.
against Real Madrid.
I think you're absolutely right. I think it's very difficult to get to a situation where you can actually judge it only due to the fact that we are, at times guilty of being very insular.
Yeah.
When you've neither been or sampled the community, the society, the whole mix, the complex mix of other rivalries elsewhere.
Yeah. Well, the big factor with the Barcelona thing is because the Barcelona people, they want independence as well from Spain. They don't even see themselves as Spanish, that sort of thing. So there's a great degree of animosity there between the two of them, without doubt. That's why. But Rangers Celtic, I mean, it is a fantastic derby match, and it's known all through the world. That's why there's all that talk recently about Dundee taking their game in America against Celtic. One of the ideas that came up years ago was to actually maybe even play an Old Firm game in America. That would be the thing that would capture the imagination if you played Rangers Celtic over in the States, because everybody over there is a huge amount of people know there's a massive rivalry between Rangers and
Celtic. I don't see that happening, Gordon.
Probably not, but
I can't see it being allowed.
Maybe not.
Not Rangers Celtic, just any game over there, a league game being played in America. If I was the Americans in the MSL, I'd be saying, wait a minute, no chance.
Yeah, it's hard to say because I mean they do. Let's be honest, they do hold international matches now here in England. I mean they've held some down in London between different countries, sort of thing. So
Argentina,
that was allowed. Argentina and some South Africa have come here. Nigeria, haven't they? So they might allow it, Peter. It depends whether they get permission as well from. You have to get permission from the SPFL, and you need to get permission from probably UEFA.
You never have thought a couple of years ago.
It's another one of these.
You never have thought years ago that the American football would turn up at Wembley, would you? Look at it, it's such a big thing now.
American football is not prominent as a sport with an audience in Britain. It's not exactly a sport where everybody's playing it and then
there's a rivalry to it.
There's a rivalry and there's also a revenue to be made from audiences here. You know, this is just coming in. Here's something that you don't have, and you can come and watch it. We're willing to take one of our games out of our league and play it over here so that you can actually come and sample the atmosphere and understand the whole thing. But this is a different kettle of fish. This is us saying, well, you know, we want to be able to go and make money. Let's make it in your country with your fans and work out our distribution to how we get revenue in and take it out of your country. I mean, if I was the MSL, I'd be saying, no chance.
It's another one of these, like Rangers and Celtic going down to England. You're opening the floodgates. You know, once you say it's okay for Celtic and Dundee to go, the other countries could start saying, well, we want to do it, we want to go there, we want to go there.
Roughie, Alloa 0, Dumbarton 2. This time Grant Gallagher has scored the goal. The first one, Greg Docherty, it's scored from the corner straight into the net. So it looks as if it's a comfortable 3 points now, Gordon, for Dumbarton.
Yeah, it's looking better for them. I thought Alloa might get something. If there was going to be a game today, a game for Alloa that we could get something from, this was it. As I said, their only win this season was against Dumbarton, but the fact is that they're down 2-0, game's nearly finished. You got to say that that's a bad result for Alloa, because Dumbarton then move away and pull. Well, it is a big 9-point gap now.
Yeah, and I don't know if you can see it, Monitor 64, Roughie, but the Formerton fans are just heading out in their droves now. 4-1 to Cove Rangers.
Yeah, well, I think that's them out the league now. They might have to have a fundraiser up there. You know, just
you got to speak.
Well, I was wondering. I actually thought that's why you were such a Formerton fan, because you were speaking up there, which is why you were really getting behind them. But they're out of the cup now, Roughie. That's something that they won't be too happy with up there in the Highlands. You can tweet us with your thoughts on any of the burning issues. Maybe you think of a greater rivalry than AC Milan, Inter, Celtic and Rangers. Give us your thoughts on that. What about your team? What do you think should happen with Anthony Stokes? If you are a Hibs fan out there, do you believe that you've got enough in reserve there to win the championship? Can you win the title? Also, if you are a Hearts fan and you want to talk about the development of the new main stand, well, the old main stand, which will become a new stand to take the capacity to 20,000. Give us your thoughts on that as well. At Peter and Roughie on Twitter, facebook.com/Peter and Roughie on Facebook, as well as Twitter. We will also have you on peterandroughie.com, where you can give us your thoughts on today's issues. So, as I look and see that Stirling are now 3-1 up on Elgin, so it looks as if all 3 points for the home side there, no problems whatsoever. Let's go to Rugby Park to get the latest on that match. Kilmarnock down to 10 men. Dundee United, do they look like scoring, Craig Turnbull?
Well, to be honest, Peter, both teams look like scoring. It's been a very entertaining second half, and Dundee United had a great chance to add to their first goal when Suter hit a curling effort. It was a brilliant save by Jamie McDonald. Before that, Craig Slater hit the post for Kilmarnock. It's really finely poised. It could go either way. We're into the final 7 minutes here. It's Kilmarnock 1, Dundee United 1.
Thanks to Craig. Alan Cook has been sent off for Stenhousemuir. Never a better chance in the Cup, Roughie, as I look at the latest scores. A great chance for East Kilbride to maybe take a big scalp there. Yeah,
but certainly, you know, obviously you would think they'd be trying to get the winner on that one. Obviously they won't want it to go to extra time and penalties, but certainly with 10 men you would be keeping your eye on that score, and it looks as if it might be a backs to the wall to try and get into extra time and penalties.
Yep, absolutely. So in the other match, it's 2-2, nicely balanced up there at Dingwall. Gordon Smith, Jim McIntyre's side, will be happy, I think, with a point against the likes of St Johnstone.
We'll definitely be happy with a point now. The fact that we're down 2-0, St Johnstone in a great run away from home, won like last 6 games. I think they've won away from home. So for Ross County to be down 2-0 at home, come back to 2-2, he would settle for that right now. But I'm sure they're pushing there for a winner, because once you get back in a game like that, you get a bit of momentum built up, and you think we can win this game, you know. So I'm sure that's a really tight game up there, and St Johnstone maybe be under a little bit of pressure at the moment from Ross County.
Yep, absolutely. Mackie, who did you tip to win the Barclays Premier League down south?
I can't remember. I tipped it was Man City, I think. Man City.
Gone for Man City. Was that your choice as well?
I went for Man City,
Yeah, Roughie?
Yeah, I went for Chelsea, but jumped ship after a fortnight and went for Man City.
Mackie, did you not go for Arsenal, or was that Joe Miller?
Not a chance.
No, it was Joe Miller. Joe Miller went
Not
for
a chance. When he picked Arsenal, no.
No. Okay, there's a balanced view from Mackie. I wouldn't pick Arsenal. That's a man who played for a London club and has embraced the area and what it's all about. Even if they were the best team, Mackie, would you? No.
Nah, I just don't think, unless they get a top striker. I like watching them, but unless they get a top striker and a top centre half, I don't think they'll win the league.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll. I think they're happy just for top 4, and I think that's wrong. The fans, the fans there want more than that.
Yeah, and Roughie, you jumped ship. Did you mention there? Did you jump ship?
Yeah, you allowed
Chelsea
me the opportunity to have a look at that, and after the horrendous start they had, I decided to go for Man City.
Yeah, I'm going to jump
Chelsea
ship.
can come back and win it. No?
I'm going to jump ship as well, Roughie.
You go for
Liverpool.
I'll allow you that.
You go for Liverpool.
I'm going to go for Liverpool.
I wouldn't be surprised, honestly.
Whoa,
To win the league?
To win the league.
No, I can't see that.
I think they're in the hunt, because I don't think there's anybody else is that impressive, Peter.
Liverpool are the blow-up team of England.
No, I know, but that manager is not no chance.
Roughie, not with that manager. Are you kidding me?
No buying.
They'll buy in January.
Yes, absolutely. They'll buy in January, Roughie. Yeah, of course they will. It would be
You don't
great
think
if
anybody else will buy in January?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely they will. But it would be great if Liverpool.
don't
Would it be
think
great if
Leicester will.
Liverpool could win the league? Gordon Smith.
With some comeback, what an appointment it would turn out to be if he gets into that position.
That would be absolutely sensational if that happened, but whether it does or not, only time will tell. 3-2 to St Johnstone. St Johnstone are back in the lead in that game. Roughie, suddenly your 5-4 doesn't seem so silly.
I think it's a bit late for 5-4. Too late. Far too late. But,
Well, you never know, Roughie. Stranger things have happened, but what a late show that is from St Johnstone. Again, up there at Dingwall is not easy to get 3 points, Macca.
But as Gordon says, Ross County will be wanting the winner now, because they came from two goals down, they've got it 2 each, they'll be pushing on, and obviously St Johnstone just hit them on the break and says thank you very much, we'll go away down the road with 3 points.
Oh, yeah. And St
Merry
Johnstone,
Christmas.
that puts St Johnstone up just under Hearts now. I mean, I know they got Hearts a game hand, but that puts them on 30 points, Peter. Hearts on 31. So St Johnstone are up there, making it look as if very secure to be in the top 4. I think St Johnstone are going to be 4th team this season.
You think so?
Yes.
Okay, interesting stuff. I think there's more serious issues ahead down south. Now Jamie Vardy has gone 150 or so minutes without scoring a goal, which is a real drought, Robbie. He needs to have a long hard look at himself as well now.
yeah, he's not pushed himself this week, obviously. Training and can you imagine the pressure? The pressure that having to beat that record.
No,
and
he's done it. He's beaten the record.
Peter's come up with another one. Peter's come up with another record.
But he's got
you don't feel that as a player. You don't go out there thinking about records. You just go out and play the game, and Maris will just not be passing
somebody tells you if you get another goal, you've got this record that might last 30 years, 40 years.
And they'll say who holds the record, and they'll mention the guy's name, and he'll go, who's that? So
now, do you mean nobody will remember Frank McAvaney?
No, Jimmy. Who's the guy who's got the record? Who is it?
Jimmy Dunn.
Jimmy Dunn, there you go. You know him right off lips. Jimmy.
But you don't think as I say, Swans have seen Vardy as the threat, and he's probably got 2 men on him the whole time, 3 men, and the other guy Maris gets a hat trick.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you, if you're talking about someone that deserves tremendous praise, and I think we need to make a real move to get him back on the show, Roughie, we used to have him on with great regularity, is Dave Mackay, who's hit a 25-yard screamer of a free kick that looks to have won that match for St Johnstone.
Well, he does score very many goals. I think he scored one a couple of weeks ago to win the game, but certainly free kicks, it's surprising that we get a free kick. It's usually the centre half that comes up and takes them. Usually there's somebody who I can bend it and I can curl it. but certainly he's got a lot of power behind his shots.
Yeah, Watford 2, Norwich 0, so Watford have all 3 points in that match. I think he's, tell me if I'm wrong here guys, I think Dave Mackay is a St Johnstone legend.
Oh yeah, we spoke about it. It was the fact he was getting a new contract. He is a legend. He's done a fantastic job. He's still getting a new contract at the age he is. I think he's 33 or 34 now.
Yep.
Which is fantastic because he's done a terrific job over time. He's been a cup winning team as well, the first time in their history and all that. So I think he deserves to go down, as you say, in the legendary status for St Johnstone, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's well deserving of his place, and especially when you look back, we were joking about it with him, Roughie. You know, you dine out on it. That's the dinners for the next 40 years sorted out. But over and above that, I think Tommy Wright mentioned he thought Dave Mackay could play till he was 40.
Yeah, well, he looks that kind of guy. He's quite a big, lean guy. You know, he's very professional in everything he does. And you're right. You know, he's the kind of player you have in a dressing room that everybody looks up to, and even the younger players, you know, appreciate what he's done in the game, and he looks as if he's one of these guys that's really impressive during training as well. He looks as if they're 100%er, and they're the kind of guys you need round about you.
Yep. One little bit of sad news I thought I'd mention in this programme, which again is something which I think over the next couple of days a lot of people will reflect on, is the sad passing of William McIlvanney. You know, just a fantastic writer, someone in Scotland I think we have tremendous pride in all he's achieved, and his passing is a huge blow.
Yeah, as a writer, I didn't meet him that many times, only maybe at dinners or something like that, but he was one of these guys that as soon as he starts talking about the history of the game and everything, you certainly listen, you know, because he's very knowledgeable in everything he does, and obviously he was a crime writer as well. So yeah, I'm sure there are a lot of people in the media who would know him a lot better than what I do. He'll be sadly missed.
Aaron Ramsey has scored for Arsenal to make it 3-1, so game's over there for Sam Allardyce. He'll have to pick the points up elsewhere. It's really one of those games where I would imagine, Macca, that's the type of game we think, well, nobody expects us to win against Arsenal, and that's the way it's panned out.
I think he's relying, because he's got to rely on January. He's got to bring somebody in January, whether it will be loan players or something, because obviously, as I said a few weeks ago, I said when Sam took the job, I said I don't care who he is, I don't think they've got the players that can keep him up. You know, I just don't think they've got too many players, maybe just at that edge of their careers when it's just going, you know, and they've not got the fight left in them to do that relegation. So they'll need to bring some players in if they've got any chance of staying up here.
And not a great day for Manchester as well, Peter, with United just getting a draw at home against West Ham. It is finished.
Is it?
Yeah,
Oh,
no.
What do you make of that, Macca? That's a great point for West Ham.
That is a good, especially when you've got a lot of players out.
And St Johnstone have won 3-2. That game is over. So what a brilliant 3 points for Tommy Wright's side again.
Another way. Many is that? 7 in a row. 7 away wins in a row.
It's incredible.
It's good.
I mean, absolutely amazing. And of course, Newcastle-Liverpool is tomorrow. What a chance for Liverpool. I'm telling you, you laughed, you scoffed at me, Roughie, but I'll tell you, it's... And Kilmarnock 1, Dundee United 1 down at Rugby Park. We'll be going to Craig Turnbull after the break on that one, but I'll tell you, stranger things have happened.
Well, I think everyone would agree with you if there was any team that you would want to win, it would be Liverpool.
Yeah.
Just with their history and just everything about them, and if they can get back to playing decent football the way they're doing now and winning games, you know, I think good luck to them.
I'll tell you how long it's been since Liverpool won the league title. Most of the videos that I bought for that period, Roughie, are, you know, VHS or Betamax. That's how long ago it was.
It was in the 90s, wasn't it? Was it
1989-90?
89-90 was it?
Yeah, that's been a long
I thought it was
time.
92 or 93. It was earlier.
You can see why they went through so many managers.
They've won a lot of leagues though. I mean, I played against when Kenny and all that was there. It was a great team, you know. It was an unbelievable team, and Hansen and.
I'll tell you, our treble has, you know, it's game's a bogey for that, Roughie. I had Tottenham to get a win at West Brom. It hasn't actually quite managed that. And Man United, West Ham is 0-0 as well. Full-time scores report from Rugby Park coming up next. Welcome back to Peter and Roughie's Saturday Football Show. Full-time scores across the country, north and south of the border on the way. You can check your coupon. We'll get the reaction from the games that managed to survive the weather. Up at Dens Park, early kick-off, it was Dundee 0, Aberdeen 2. What about that match down at Rugby Park? Craig Turnbull.
Yeah, finished here at Rugby Park. Peter, Kilmarnock 1, Dundee United 1. A result which doesn't do either side any favours, if truth be told. Kilmarnock started better and got the goal after just 3 minutes. It was good play by Josh McGuinness down the right hand side. He played a dangerous ball into the box and Chris Boyd was lurking in the 6-yard box to get his third of the season. Kilmarnock could have extended their lead. Obidai had a great chance, but then came the turning point and it was Kilmarnock who were reduced to 10 men when Stuart Finlay was sent off for bringing down Ryan McGowan in the box, and it was Billy Mackay who scored his 7th goal of the season from this penalty spot. In the second half there were further chances. Craig Slater hit a post for Kilmarnock. John Suter forced a good save out of Jay McDonald at the other end, but perhaps a lack of cutting edge is why both these sides are in the bottom 6. United haven't won when they've went behind, and that run continues today. It finished Kilmarnock 1, Dundee United 1.
Okay, that's how it finished here. I think Dundee United will be disappointed they couldn't take advantage of the 10 men of Killie.
I agree with you. I think that if either side is going to be happy with the scoreline today, it'll be Kilmarnock. I think, although they led, they lost a goal, they had a man sent off early in the first half. An opportunity for Dundee United then to play against 10 men for the rest of the game. Didn't take it. Really an opportunity for them to pick up 3 points today and push closer to one of their rivals who are Kilmarnock above them. So I think Kilmarnock, I think from the point of view of what suits either team, Kilmarnock better.
Yep, okay, let's go into that other match, the only match in the Championship, Alloa against Dumbarton. Derek Clark sent this by mail about 5 hours ago.
Full time here at the Indodil Stadium. It's finished Alloa 0, Dumbarton 2. Storm Desmond has wreaked havoc across Scottish football grounds, and he may also have dealt a huge blow to the Wasps' hopes of staying in the Championship. A Mark Docherty in-swinging corner in the 71st minute found its way into the back of the net with a little help from the strong winds, and the Suns made sure of the 3 points 3 minutes from time when substitute Grant Gallagher nodded home from close range. Goals aside, though, it was a poor game of football, not helped by the horrendous weather conditions. It's finished here at the Indodil Stadium. Alloa 0, Dumbarton 2.
Nice to hear Engelbert Humperdinck still number 1 over there at Recreation Park. But to the game itself, good result there for Steve Aitken's boys. But again, I think there is a point shortly where people will start to look and say Alloa are gone, Gordon.
Yeah, I think so. I think that was, as I say, we spoke about it before the game, proverbial 6-pointer in that case as well. Alloa needed to try and push close. I mean, they've still got above them, still the same. They've got a game more played now than likes of Livingston and St Mirren who are there as well, so they have to try and get the results against the teams that are closest to them, and they haven't done it today. That same Dumbarton have moved out 9 points clear.
Yep, David Wotherspoon certainly the hero for St Johnstone today with 2, although the main man has to be Captain Dave Mackay. He scored the winner from a free kick 25 yards, curling it into the back of the net, much to the delight of the Saints fans. They got a 3-2 win up at Dingwall against Ross County. The full times across the country coming up next. Welcome back to Peter and Roughie's Saturday Football Show. Alan Rough, Gordon Smith and Frank McAvenny have been keeping me company all afternoon, offering their opinion and of course reaction to the goals as they've been hitting the back of the net and the full-time scores. Let's look at the Premiership in Scotland. Of course, a couple of games fallen foul of the weather. In fact, 3: Celtic, Hamilton, Hearts, Inverness and Partick Thistle against Motherwell. It was Dundee 0, Aberdeen 2. Of course, Adam Rooney getting on the score sheet there, as well as Niall McGinn. It was Hearts, Inverness, Celtic, Hamilton postponed. Kilmarnock 1, Dundee United 1. Chris Boyd scoring for Kelly and the equaliser from Billy Mackay. Partick Thistle and Motherwell postponed, but Ross County 2, St Johnstone 3. It looked as if County were going to get a share of the points there, but Dave Mackay put paid to any hopes of that with a great free kick to win it for them. What about the Championship? Only one match. We heard just before the break from Derek Clark, who eventually managed to get some form of technology to give us a full-time report. Alloa 0, Dumbarton 2. In the League 1 and League 2. Let's have a look there to see Dunfermline 3, Brecon City 1. Good 3 points for Alan Johnson's side in that battle in a very tight league. We'll be able to show you that very shortly. And in League 2, it was Stirling Albion 3, Elgin City 1. Let's look to the Barclays Premier League down south. Jamie Vardy couldn't get the goal that he was looking for. Jimmy Dunn will still be a name that's on the tip of our tongues as we talk about his amazing trailblazing feat of scoring for Sheffield United in season 31-32, 12 straight goals. Stoke City 2, Manchester City 0, Arnautovic with a double. What a scoreline that is. Arsenal 3, Sunderland 1, Manchester United 0, West Ham 0, Southampton 1, Aston Villa 1, Swansea 0, Leicester City 3, a hat-trick for Mahrez, Watford 2, Norwich City 0, West Brom 1, Tottenham 1, and the big news from Chelsea against Bournemouth. It kicks off at 5:30. Diego Costa on the bench for that match. So there you have it, north and south of the border, some talking points. If you want to give us your thoughts, at Peter and Roughie on Twitter and Facebook.com/Peter and Roughie. Another score just coming in there. East Kilbride 2, Stenhousemuir 1. So East Kilbride's extra time, Roughie. That could be a good day for them.
I would say that's the first shock of the Scottish Cup so far. It's always good to see a wee team doing well, and good for the players. I think you just have to see the draw for the next round. They'll all be around at the social club and they'll all be sitting there waiting to see what team they get, and they'll be hoping to get a big one, because a big one can keep them going for a couple of years.
Yep, and the big scoreline down south, I think both Manchester clubs slipping up, Macca.
Well, I expected a little bit of West Ham, but because Man United, they're not an exciting team now. I mean, Alan was talking about they might win the league, but they're going to bore their way to it because it's not good. And that was a good result, but Stoke, Mark Hughes came back there and beat his old club. It'd be good for him.
Yep. Okay, you can give us your thoughts. We'll have further reaction from the results today, and you can interact with us as well. We'll have a break to see if I can convince all three guys that Liverpool are going to go on and win the Barclays Premier League. I think I might have a job in my hands, but nevertheless, worth a go in the break. Join us if you can after this quick one. Welcome back to Peter and Roughie's Saturday Football Show. We are delighted to have your company. Hopefully you've been able to stay with us over the course of the afternoon as we've chatted about football, giving you the reaction to some of the scores coming in, and hopefully interacted with you as well. Thanks very much to everyone for tweeting us their trio of players that have given their club a golden period. Of course, Jasper Craig has sent in 3 players: Gaza, Laudrup and McCoist as well, and also our producer has said Zidane, Figo and the Brazilian Ronaldo, which was indeed a formidable threesome as well. And they actually, am I right in thinking, I think was it 2002 was Real Madrid's victory with Zidane at the heart of things against Bayer Leverkusen at Hampden Park.
Was that game?
Yeah, it was a fantastic goal.
It was a good atmosphere. I think that's when the city of Glasgow actually took off to get big events. I think that was the first thing that we got, that it went down well. Police organised it. The city loved it. Everybody, no trouble, no end. A great game, great end to the game.
Who crossed it?
Who crossed it?
Do you remember?
No, I just remember Zidane's volley for the 20 years.
Left back?
Yes.
Famous left back, I can't remember. Yeah.
Roberto Carlos.
Carlos,
is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you know what's amazing about that game? You never really remember who scored the other goal for Real Madrid that day.
No, we don't
Because it
remember.
was kind of a sclaff.
Yeah.
I love that word, sclaff. To you, it just suggests, it wasn't very, very good. Wasn't intentional, but believe me, it was.
Who was it?
Raúl.
Oh.
So there you are. Isn't it amazing how we never talk about Raúl as one of the all-time Real Madrid players?
Yeah.
Absolutely. What do you make of today then, Mac? I'm looking at the table and I can see Celtic, Aberdeen and Hearts. Aberdeen, again, it's now down to 4 points. It's just good to have the points in the bag.
We knew Aberdeen were going to come back. We knew, every team goes through that period where they mess games up and for some reason it just doesn't click. I mean, it's been for years and years it's been on, but I think that could be them out it now, and they all look, especially on today's performance, they all look confident in the ball again, they all want the ball again, so it seems to be a big confidence thing going through the club, and they'll be there or thereabouts, so they'll be taking points off it, most of the teams this year, and Hearts can do that as well. Hearts can do that. They've outshone everyone. Hearts, they're doing a lot better than I expected.
Yeah, but I can't help but think, Roughie, that Aberdeen will just look back at September and October and think, what happened?
That's just what I was going to say there. Imagine they could take that out of their equation. I mean, I don't know how many points they threw away in these 2 months, but even half the points that they lost, and they would still be in touch and different.
17.
17 points. Is that right?
Incredible. But I mean, the thing about it is that they're still there, and the game's coming up. They do have a game against Celtic.
In fact, 13.
Yeah.
One of them was a cup match.
Is it in January, the game against Celtic? I think it is. Is it?
Coming up on the... it's quite a bit away actually.
Because I see, remember
don't worry about it. We've not forgotten about it. From a pleasing point of view, our 9 points is looking pretty good now.
What is this, the bet with Macca?
30th of January.
30th of January.
The other side of it is, I mean, you look at the table, Peter, if you're looking at it, there's 4 teams there virtually becoming the top 4, aren't they? I mean, St Johnstone, a good win today. Celtic's next game is against St Johnstone. After they play Fenerbahce, they've got to play Fenerbahce Thursday, then St Johnstone on the Sunday. And before that game, you've got Hearts and Aberdeen. Now, if Aberdeen were to beat Hearts, it'll be at Pittodrie. They can get within a point of Celtic prior to Celtic having to play that game. I guess it's just so that squeezes it in again. I know that Celtic will have 2 games in hand over Aberdeen if they do that, but still it keeps the competition going, and that's what we want to see.
And of course, on the 27th of December, Roughie, it's Celtic at Tynecastle, which is great. I mean, that's just the type of game you want. The crowd in there, you can't get a ticket for love nor money. The Hearts fans would love nothing better than to put one over in Celtic.
I think with Rangers out of the equation just now, the Celtic Hearts game is the game that's becoming very attention at it.
You think so? I think it's Aberdeen, Celtic and then Hearts.
I think Hearts at Celtic at Tynecastle. We've been to the games. It's You can feel this. You can feel it in the stadium. You know how much Hearts want to actually beat them. I don't feel that way, Aberdeen. That there is.
No,
I don't feel that. No, that sort of.
I felt it at Celtic Park when Johnny Hayes was on the park last season, and then they just, when he got injured. I mean, Johnny Hayes and McGinn today proved it. When Hayes is on his game, he can destroy teams.
Absolutely, he's a really hard player to deal with. You're right, Peter. When he's playing, he makes Aberdeen tick without doubt. And McGinn was off form a little bit, but he's come back now.
Yeah.
He's another one. I think even off at half time. I hope he hasn't got any serious injury there, because he's a player they rely on. And when him and Hayes are both on form, then teams find it hard to pick, because how do you cope with them all? Because all the other ones, McLean was in good form today as well.
Willow Flood looked as if he was.
He won the man of the match.
Willow. It looked as if he was into everything. He was.
Did Willow Flood win man of the match?
Yeah.
Wow, I'm gobsmacked. It must have been a burning story. They were desperate to get a question in on him, because I thought Hayes was just absolutely outstanding. But over the 90 minutes, somebody must have seen something. Let's have a look at the Premiership table, just to give you an insight into how it all shapes up. I mean, there are some cracking games coming up over the festive period that will sort out the men from the boys. Celtic on top with a game in hand over Aberdeen, 4 points the difference between them now. Hearts a further 4 points back, and then St Johnstone with that good win today up at Ross County. Again, you just wonder time and time again, when Tommy Wright decided to stay on, how can you actually get to the same level of what he's achieved over the last couple of seasons? I think it's been magnificent. There they are, up there again. Hamilton, Roughie, it would need to be a monumental collapse for my prediction of Hamilton to be in the playoffs. That's not going to happen. They've just been consistent as well, coming up with good results. Look at the bottom end of it. Dundee United today, Motherwell still have the cushion and a game in hand. I think now, Mixu Paatelainen will have emphasised to the fans to try and get the message across that this is a battle. That's 2 points dropped today for me.
I think so as well. I agree with you, Peter. And the fact is that they've got their next game's Partick Thistle at home. That'll be a tough one for them, as we know. But although, having said that, they won't have to deal with Robbie Muirhead that day. Partick can't play him in that match. But they've got the next 3 games. I said it before. Today was one of them. But they've got 4 games against the teams that are down, rivaling them with them, and they need to get wins against at least 1 or 2 of those teams in order to close that gap, because if they don't close the gap against the teams that are close to them, then their next games are against the teams that are well above them, and they'll be harder games. So they've got to try and get something.
We keep talking about it, we keep mentioning it. Confidence in football, it's just an amazing thing when it's in the team. And there's no way Dundee United will have confidence, especially after that today. So they will be very nervous when Thistle go up there. And Thistle's got nothing to lose; they'll just go up there, and play their game. And I think Mitsu, he's got a really. I tipped him. I didn't think they were going to claw this back, and I still don't think they're going to claw it back. I think they're too far down. Well, too many players.
The whole proof in the pudding, as Gordon said there, when you've only got one guy scoring goals, the pressure's on you right away. The pressure's on everybody. You're looking at him, you're looking at him in the dressing room before the game, you're looking at him on the park, and if he's not producing it, you're then looking about going, well, who else is?
Well, it's a wee bit this case we're talking about Vardy with Leicester. You'd be saying, if you're playing against Dundee United, you would more or less say, let's keep Mackay quiet, and then we've got a real chance of winning this game. Because if he's not getting a goal, who else is going to score for them?
Yep, I think in the Championship today there wasn't a lot of activity. Alloa slipped up, losing at home to Dumbarton by 2-0. There's now a 6-point gap between them and Livingston, 7 points between Alloa and St Mirren. So I think now I think Danny Lennon's side over the festive period, unless they start picking up, a lot of the Championship sides will be happy that they're now playing to avoid a playoff place, Roughie.
Yeah, I feel sorry for Danny. He was obviously out of the game there, and he didn't want to be out for too long. Went to Alloa, obviously. I think we saw Paul Hartley leaving there because of the budget restrictions, but he's went in there, and all credit to him. He's tried to use it as a stepping stone back up into a bigger club, and it just hasn't worked for him. And I hope he doesn't do anything rash, because they are on a right bad run just now, and he did particularly well to get them out of it into the playoffs last year. So He's a determined wee guy, and I hope he sticks at it.
It was quite a coincidence we spoke about the fact that Dundee United had 4 games in a row against the teams down beside them. Same scenario with Alloa. The next 2 games Alloa have are actually Livingston and St Mirren, who are now the 2 teams that are closest to them, because obviously with Dumbarton getting away a little bit. So that 3 games in a row, Alloa have got this opportunity to pull back the teams, and if they don't do it in these next 2 games as well, Peter, they're virtually finished, I think.
Yeah, Dave Mackay, speaking after the game in the 3-2 win up at Dingwall, has said it was a great way to get the goal and great to get my first goal of the season. I suppose if you're going to score your first goal of the season, you might as well make it a 25-yard curling free kick into the roof of the net to win it by 3-2. What about League One? Dunfermline are up at the top on goal difference now, having played a game more than Ayr United. It's between those two for the title. If Ian McCall wins it, I think he's in the running for Manager of the Year.
Yeah,
on his resources, Roughie.
Yeah. I think the board again deserve a lot of credit. You know that I don't think it was a gamble. You know, I think Ian been at the game for a long time. They've obviously looked at the CV that he's had previous to that, and a lot of them would have been quite a good reading. So they've gave him a chance, and he certainly went in and not let them down. I'm sure he'll be wanting to strengthen the side, but I just get a funny feeling that Dunfermline have got more strength and depth. But I think it'll go all the way to the wire, and even if he was in the playoffs, it would still be a great season for them.
It's such a big club though, Dunfermline, to see them down that low in divisions. You know, it just doesn't seem right, does it?
Yeah, I
mean, they're a big club.
I think they actually play each other next game, Peter, don't they?
Oh, big good one.
Ayr and Dunfermline, I think they play in the league.
Well, let's have a look at the table to let you get a real grasp of how tight it is there. There they are. Goal difference, the difference between the two sides there now. So that shows you how tight it is. Who's your money on, Roughie, for that one?
Personally, I would like to see Ayr United having had a season there, but I think Dunfermline have got. They look as if they've got something about them there, and obviously they've failed on numerous occasions. I think they're going to grasp this one to move up a league.
Marca?
Yeah, I think Colin will get Ayr United up.
Yeah? Gordon?
I think Ayr United as well, but I think I wouldn't be surprised if Dunfermline go. I don't think there's much between them at all. The game that's coming up, the next time they play, will be a crucial match just to see, because Dunfermline already beat Ayr in the cup last week, didn't they?
And of course this one is back at Somerset Park again.
Somerset Park. So Dunfermline, Frank mentioned it as a great word for football, is confidence, and Dunfermline will be going down there, having won today, they'll be going down to Somerset on the belief they know that they can win down there, because they did it last week in the cup.
Well, whoever finishes second won't be too bothered about meeting Alloa, I think, if they were coming down.
No,
yes.
No, absolutely not.
But Alloa will be coming straight down.
They'll
not be in the playoff.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a few.
Let's look at the lower division. There was only one match that finished there as well. That was Stirling, Stuart McLaren's side, getting the 3-1 win over Elgin. Doesn't have any major implications other than the fact that Stirling managed to close the gap on Elgin to just 2 points now after that win. So a good win for Stirling Albion, Roughie.
All credit to McLaren. I mean, last year Stirling Albion had a disastrous season, but this year they seem to be getting new players in. I think that's a fan ownership, isn't it? Stirling Albion, I think it's a fan ownership club, so all credit to them. You know, they've really worked hard. Again, the budget must be really, really small there, but certainly they're doing a lot better than what they were doing last year.
There's nothing in that league at all, Peter, is there? I mean, hardly any points separating all the teams. Yeah, it's very close. Yeah,
and if I can draw your attention to the Chelsea-Bournemouth match, I think Diego Costa didn't really warm up for the game, so clearly he doesn't think he's getting on. I love the way this whole story is developing at Chelsea. I mean, if they don't win anything this year, I mean, there's already been suggestions the manager was going to get sacked, didn't materialise. They've started to get back. Hazard has started to look like his old self, but you know, Costa, I mean, it's one catastrophe after another that Mourinho has to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, he probably thinks he can win this game, Mourinho, without Costa, and he's maybe just making a point to him and just saying, look, you're not a first choice player at the moment in terms of your attitude and everything that's going on. So he's left him out, because they should beat Bournemouth. Let's be honest with you, the sort of run Bournemouth are on just now, there's no way they should be able to compete with Chelsea. But as I say, you never know. But he's obviously doing this to.
This is a Mourinho. This is him testing Costa. This is him putting him on the bench. He'll probably fling him on for the last 30 minutes and go, hey, go and show me what you can do. And if the guy's any man at all, he will, because there's no doubt about it. He's got the ability. Yeah. And then the two of them will be happy again. And then they'll be all cuddles. And that's the way he is. He's looking for reaction.
He's done it with John Terry. There was a big fault there, supposed to be. He dropped him out. Hazard. Yeah. You know, he's just.
He's done it with a few.
He's done it with a few of them. He's just and they're all coming back and they're playing well now. So
okay, there's a big week coming up for Celtic because they're going to be involved in the last Europa League match. It could be one of those unenviable records, which is quite simply that they haven't won a match in the Europa League. That wouldn't be good, Macca.
No, I don't think they're going to get anything down at Turkey. I really don't. I think Fenerbahce, because they can go through after the start. I just think it's an impossible task for Celtic. I really do. I think they're going to go down. You know, they maybe control the game a little bit, but the fans and everything about Fenerbahce, I think, will take them over the line. I don't think they're going to. With the players they've got, I don't think they'll mess up and let Celtic beat them for Ajax to go through. I don't think that will happen.
No, Gordon.
Yeah, I think. I mean, it's a meaningless game from Celtic's point of view. It's only about fulfilling a fixture now, because they can't even a win doesn't even take them.
It's not really, because as Peter said, it's a record that you don't want. So I know it's a meaningless game.
A number of defeats. I know what you mean. Well, they've certainly
no won a game.
I know they'll certainly want to go out there and perform to get something from it. But I mean, there's nothing. Even a win doesn't bring anything other than the fact that they changed that record. That's for sure. But and they probably affect Fenerbahce as well. But that's a team, Fenerbahce, that we want to get something from the game, because I say Ajax are still in a position to get above them. So Fenerbahce will be up for it.
Yep, it's a strange situation that Ronnie Deila has found himself in. It's almost as if, you know, nothing that he does in the league gains any recognition whatsoever, because the European stuff is where people are beating him over the head, Roughie.
And that's where he'll be judged, you know. And when the Manager of the Year awards come out, even if he won the treble, I don't think he would win it. No. And I don't know why, you know, because we're all in the game to win trophies and win championships. A treble would be a tremendous season. I would think if somebody like St Johnson, you know, ended up second or third in the league, if Hearts did well or won a cup and ended second. Yeah. I think the European thing hangs over his head. That's what I'm saying. It really hangs over his head big time. And if he could get some kind of European result, something, even a draw at Fenerbahce, would take the pressure off. You know, people asking him questions and getting stuff thrown up in his face all the time. Okay, it would be a complete failure, but it would stop people talking about it, and then he could concentrate on what he's got ahead.
Yeah, I mean, Macca, can I get your thoughts, because you're at the coalface on more than a few occasions with regards to Celtic. Have you seen progress? Do you see a side that entertains the Celtic fans? Do you think, in a league basis, and obviously in the cups where Celtic are chasing a treble, that Celtic fans are enamoured with them?
I think they're getting a wee bit. I don't think they're entertaining. I think that the season could have been so different. They were 2 up, is it, for Fenerbahce or Ajax, was it? They were 2 up and they came back to draw, and they should have won the games. You know, and the season would have been so different, because they would have got through, and they wouldn't have been in this position. But it's just, I don't see Ronnie. You know, I like him, but I don't see him changing things, Peter. He's not. It seems he doesn't have this capability of changing a game, changing tactics. He just sticks with the one up front. I mean, Fenerbahce had scored. It was Ajax, 1 each against Ajax at Celtic Park. Fenerbahce scored. The crowd were all heard. So all of a sudden, one of these teams have to win to have any chance.
But he's got in his mind now a system that he thinks works. He doesn't want to change the system too much.
Yeah, I know, but listen, when it's 1 each and Fenerbahce scores, you've got to win. The first thing that the Ajax manager do is put a striker on, and Ronnie put a left back on. And I'm thinking, what are you doing? You know, you need goals. You need to score. The draw's no good. Yeah. And I just think that, you know, he's seen the Ajax manager thought, I'm taking this to the last game, so let's go and get the win.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Not the Europa League, because as you know, Roughie, I think it's a tournament that does absolutely nothing for me. Not only that, I don't think the Celtic fans are in any way enamoured with it.
No.
And I said, you know, and no, but not only that, Frank, but I don't think they buy into, and it's not snobbery from them. I just think they look at it and think, no, this is not where they want to be. They don't want to go to those games, and you can see that it's reflected in the stand. That top tier is very rarely full unless you were getting an Inter Milan in the knockout stages of the Europa League.
Well, that's what I was going to say there. That's the unfortunate thing, that they're not going to go into the last 32, I think it is, because there are some teams going to drop into that competition. You know, bigger teams that you would want to play against. You know, so there were ties out there. If they'd got to the last 32, they might have just got a wee plum one against one of the bigger sides. But
the thing for me is Celtic's built on what they've done in Europe here. That's their whole thing when they go abroad. They've got such a fan base abroad, and it's all because of what they've done in Europe. Now, to win the treble worldwide, it means nothing to people. Celtic's a team that's got to be in the Champions League.
But don't you think?
Got to be in the Champions League.
Don't you think, Frank, you've got to buy the Champions League? You know, you've got to buy the proper players to get into the last 16, to get into the thing. Celtic haven't bought a Champions League player. They're buying for the future. They're not buying now. Martin O'Neill paid 6 million for him, 6 million for him, 6 million for him. You know, Wee Gordon spent some money as well on good players, good quality players. This manager has not had anywhere near the money that these previous managers have had. No, because they've chased the Champions League. No, I don't think they've chased the Champions League now. They've taken a wee gamble to get to the Champions League.
Okay, I'm going to ask you something. Right? You buy. I'm agreeing with Van Dijk. Cost 800 grand, sold for 12 million. You know,
when you get that success, you go,
but you've got to put players in, younger players that's going to come in and you say, 3 years I'm going to sell you for 12 million. None of these players, you just look at the team and none of them will go for in 3 years.
No, but I don't think Celtic fans are looking at it and saying, you know, they want Celtic to spend, you know, vast amounts of money to buy themselves into the Champions League. I don't think that's their main gripe with this. I think what they're saying is there are a number of players that have been purchased that are simply not up to the mark. Whether it's a loan deal, you know, I can tell you East Kilbride have won 2-1 against Stenhousemuir. Well done to East Kilbride. They're into the next round of the Scottish Cup. What a great result that is. I think Jack Smith will be undoubtedly the hero from that game. As far as the players, it's the recruitment. It's the way they've spent the money that's annoyed a lot. You know, players that have come in that are not going to get a regular spot. They're not going to edge out some of the players that have been there. Interestingly enough, I wonder if indeed they do stick by their manager, which is a statement which I think could come back to haunt Peter Lawwell. It is quite simply, you've got Ryan Christie there. You have also the midfield of Scott Brown possibly in there near Beaton, who's signed a new deal. You've got Ryan Christie, you've got Scott Allen. So, you know, you've got Gary Mackay-Stevens still there, you've got Stuart Armstrong, so there's, you know, real depth in the midfield. In the back line, he's going to sign a centre half at the January transfer window, and maybe even a striker. But but in the background, there are 12 or 13 players that they've signed that are never getting anywhere near that team.
The thing about it, Rangers and Celtic have always been signing players over the years that haven't quite made it. It's been a case because you know why? Because it's a big thing. A lot of players don't actually make the step up to Rangers Celtic successfully because there's a pressure that comes with playing there that some people can't handle and they just don't fit in.
Yeah, but no disrespect to the boys. We're talking about Christie and all that. They're not going to frighten the European division. You know, I mean, he's a good player. And he'll get better. He'll definitely get better playing at Celtic because they're playing with better players. But you know, these boys are not going to. I mean, Mackay-Stevens, he let me down the other night because I thought he's somebody that I liked. Yeah. And it was just he didn't want to hold it. He didn't want to hold it. He didn't want to take responsibility.
Yeah, but let me suggest something to you, Mark. It's not about you. I've said to you before. This is about recruitment. This is about the style of player that they've bought. They've bought a lot of players who haven't been able to force themselves into the team. You know, were any of the European teams quaking in their boots boots at the thought of Tony Watt? No, Neil Lennon actually had a Celtic side that were organised enough and played a specific style to counter what Barcelona had to offer, and they were able to surprise them with a sensational 2-1 victory.
Yeah.
Since that night, it's gone.
Yeah.
And the players that they bought to try and bring them in have not been good enough. And I think that's what annoys the Celtic fans. And this is ultimately coming up to this European match. They'll not be happy. But whether the Celtic board decide, okay, we're going to stick by him, we're going to give him the transfer window in January to, to strengthen the side again.
The Celtic fans have to buy into what the plan is.
No,
and if you keep listening to everything that's saying these boys are for the future, if you're going to do that, the Christies and the Scott Allens, the fans have got to buy into that 2 or 3 plan. It's okay the manager's saying, I've got a plan here, I'm going to bring these boys. If you don't have the supporters on board with you,
do you think they're on board?
Well, who turns up?
The supporters are not
you look at the attendances.
They're not stupid. They're looking at the players that brought in. He's saying for the future. These players are not for the future. No.
Well, I would say
the
young boy Christie looks as if he has a future.
He's going to become
Scott Allen. I don't know how far Scott Allen can go. The boy Armstrong, I think,
don't buy 12 players that are not going to threaten the first team. Buy 3 quality players. That's the argument that's coming out.
It's the way, Peter, they talk up. The problem I've got is the way they talk them up. They talked up the boy from Man United, and I haven't seen him. He came in for a couple of games.
Blackett.
Yeah, the way that boy was talked up as if top prospect in England.
Simonovic I think he's not a bad player to play at back. I think they spent, what, 4 million?
Is he a
$5 million? Where is it, 5 million?
No, 2.5.
Is he a Van Dijk?
To you, Gordon.
I think it was 2.5.
Yeah.
Well,
Is he a Van Dijk?
Well, I always thought Van Dijk get caught in Europe. I always thought he was left wooden in Europe.
Well, listen, that's just a thought on the Celtic match. I didn't think it would actually last that long. Let's go back to Rugby Park. Craig Turnbull's there. He's been talking to both managers. Craig, if you're not telling me Mixu Patalina thinks that's 2 points dropped, I'll be gobsmacked.
Well, actually, Peter, he was actually pretty optimistic. He said he was a points better than none. His side were creating plenty of chances. He'd be more worried if they didn't create those chances, and he believes that Billy Mackay's only a matter of weeks away of scoring a hat-trick because he continues to get into positions, and it's just that sometimes he just doesn't quite find the back of the net. He found the back of the net today. That was his 7th goal of the season, so he's pretty pleased with his performance, but just a bit disappointed that his team just couldn't take those chances that they were given.
Yeah, what about the Killie boss, Gary Locke?
Yeah, again, Gary Locke was quite encouraged by what he's seen. He was pleased that his side managed to hold on to what was a good point, considering they went down to 10 men. He said it was credit to his side for doing that. On his view of the penalty, he spoke to Stuart Finlay, who was sent off. He says that Finlay didn't think he did a lot wrong, and he also pointed to the fact that the weather certainly had a big impact in the conditions and the performance today as well, and even put forward the idea of that games should maybe be postponed if the wind is blowing at a certain speed.
Okay, interesting stuff. But overall, who was your man of the match, Craig?
I would probably give it to Josh McGuinness. Actually, I thought he was really good for Kilmarnock today. Put in a shift, got back and was involved in the goal for Chris Boyd's goal. Good ball into the box, and he continued to be a threat to United down that right hand side all day long.
Okay, thanks to Craig Turnbull there at Rugby Park, getting the thoughts of both managers. Are Dundee United, are they anyone's tip here for the drop?
Yeah, I tipped them.
You think they're going to go?
I think they'll go. Yeah, I tipped them. 6 weeks ago. I tipped them. I just think they've not got anything that I can see. People rolling their sleeve up and going for a fight. I don't think they've got that. They've got Mitsu. He would want to do it, but he's a manager, and he's. That's twice he's come out and he's had to go to players. First he called them idiots because they're not learning, and he's called them a few names the other day there. So, he's trying to install something into them. Maybe just they're finding it hard to take in.
If the manager believes that they're creating chances and they're having chances to win games, that's what he'll feed off. You know, be telling the players, like I only saw the highlights last week, keep saying against Hamilton, honestly, the chance after chance after chance, but when you're down at the bottom there, these chances have got to go in, and he'll keep believing in himself. If we can turn these chances into goals, we've got a chance, and as long as he keeps creating them, then they have got a chance, because the teams above them there's not miles away. They might be miles away in points, but not in actually playing on the park.
It's 3 games. They're going to have to win 3 games to catch the next team. So they've not won all season. They've scored a goal since August.
And of course, we haven't actually started to even talk about what Motherwell will do in the January transfer window as well, because I know Les Hutchison was talking to Mark McGee, and their discussions will be undoubtedly on developing some of the talent, but trying to make sure they're not involved in that playoff as they were at the end of last season. More reaction from the games today coming up next. Welcome back to Peter and Roughie's Saturday Football Show on a day when Aberdeen managed to close the gap on Celtic. The game at Dens Park did indeed go ahead despite some terrible weather conditions across Scotland that wiped out 3 games in the Premiership here in Scotland. Aberdeen 2-0 winners at Dens Park. McGinn and Rooney on the score sheet for the Dons. Derek McInnes' side well happy with what they produced there. It was Cup tie Mackay, of course. Dave Mackay, who scored scored a curling 25-yard free kick into the back of the net late on for St Johnstone to just edge it in a 5-goal thriller against Ross County. So all 3 points, 5 away league wins on the road for Tommy Wrightside, which is absolutely remarkable. They just keep stunning everyone in the top flight week after week. So a good win for St Johnstone in that match. It wasn't the same for Dundee United. We certainly thought they were more than capable of getting 3 points when Kilmarnock were reduced to 10 men. Chris Boyd had given Kelly the lead, but a Billy Mackay goal equalised to make it 1-1. Here's how the table looks in the Premiership. So Celtic out in front, having played a game less than Aberdeen. Hearts, their game postponed today against Inverness. They're on 31, just 4 behind Aberdeen. And then St Johnstone with that good win. Now a good bit of clear pointage between them and Hamilton. 8 points the difference now between Hamilton and St Johnstone after that win for the Saints. And at the bottom end, Dundee United, I think an opportunity squandered to close the gap on Motherwell, who their game today didn't get the go ahead either, so they will have to play in a rearranged fixture. We'll wait for the dates on those games and bring the news to you in midweek on Peter and Roughie's Football Show, if you can join us from 6:30. Only one match actually took place in the Championship. We're so looking forward to Rangers and Hibs continuing their head-to-head. Didn't quite materialise. Only one game. Here are the results from the Championship. Alloa 0, Dumbarton 2. We'll hear from Derek Clark in a moment. He'll be giving us his thoughts on the managers in that one. So no games other than Alloa against Dumbarton. Dumbarton winning it by 2-0. Here's how the league table looks after that result. No change between Rangers and Hibs, but Dumbarton with the win get the 3 points that takes them above St Mirren, and Livingston, they are just still with that 6-point advantage over Alloa, having played a game less. Now, what about League One? Here's a quick look at the League One score. From Dunfermline, who had a good win today by 3-1 against Brecon City. And in League 2, it was Stirling Albion 3, Elgin City 1. So here's the League 1 table for you now. Ayr United didn't play today, and Dunfermline are ahead on goal difference only. That's a battle between those two. And at the bottom end, Brecon City just still 3 points away from Stranraer, Cowdenbeath, and as Gordon Smith mentioned, Forfar and Peterhead. It is tight top and bottom in that division. And here's a look at League 2 and how it's all shaping up there. Jim Chapman's Annan still out in front by the 3 points. And at the bottom end, it's tight again. Montrose, East Stirling, Arbroath and Berwick Rangers. You couldn't pick between them at the bottom of League 2. There's a match predictor, Roughie, that we had today. Look at Roughie, suddenly excited by the match predictor, and I think you should be, because on this day, Roughie, you get 8 and I get 3. You're forging even further ahead, and people are now tweeting me and saying, just give up, concede. But I can't, Roughie, because I still think there's a...
I've got a track record following at the last hurdle.
Yeah, I think the great thing about the last 3 seasons, Roughie, is you've got a tremendous, you've got the tremendous potential to collapse completely from January to May, which is holding me together on this, Gordon, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yes.
As far as the Barclays Premier League is concerned, Chelsea and Bournemouth, no goals at the moment in that one, but look at that result. Stoke City 2, Manchester City 0, Arsenal 3, Sunderland 1, Manchester United 0, West Ham 0, and I can tell you on Twitter it's in meltdown about Manchester United and Louis van Gaal. Southampton 1, Aston Villa 1, Swansea 0, Leicester City 3, Watford 2, Norwich City 0, West Brom 1, Tottenham 1, and no goals in Chelsea's match against Bournemouth. And let's hear from Derek Clark on what the managers thought, especially Steve Aitken with a 2-0 win for Dumbarton at Alloa.
Yeah, the Dumbarton boss Stevie Aitken was absolutely delighted to take the 3 points here this afternoon in what was horrible conditions. He says they've lost games recently that they don't deserve to lose. He said they deserved that this afternoon, and he's hoping they can take it forward in the coming games. He said the goal was a bit of luck that they've needed in recent weeks. It released the tension and gave them the belief to go on and win the game here. And he says they jump now up to 7th, obviously leapfrogging St Mirren in the process. He says they'll continue to fight away, they'll enjoy it, but he did say there's still a long way to go in the campaign. Daniel Lennon, on the other hand, was downbeat when he came out. He says they're getting punished for every wee mistake they make, but he says they can't feel sorry for themselves. They have to take the frustration and channel it in a positive way, starting at Dumbarton on Tuesday night in the Cup. When they go there, he says that will be a welcome break from the league campaign. So obviously frustration for Daniel Lennon. Alloa marooned at the bottom of the table.
Thanks very much to Derek Clark for a little assessment there of the game at Recreation Park, which is one of a few games that managed to escape all the weather problems which decimated our card for you this afternoon. But hopefully you've enjoyed the chat and the banter. Of course, Alan Rough, Gordon Smith and Frank McAvenny with me here in the studio over the 4 hours every Saturday, STV Edinburgh and STV Glasgow. I just did mention down south there that Twitter's in meltdown. A number of United fans clearly unhappy with what they're watching under Louis van Gaal. If he doesn't win the league, I think they'll be calling for him to go.
Well, it's one of these situations, Peter. We're talking about Celtic earlier. They need to do it in a certain way. Man United need to do it in a certain way. The supporters demand that they play attacking football, and he keeps coming out with these stats, and people don't want to see stats. Stats don't win games. They want to see attack. They want to see going forward a lot more than just passing it across the pitch, and it's not good to watch. So they're stiff, but they're keeping clean sheets, but they're not going to win the league that way.
It'll be interesting. I mean, it will be under pressure when you think about it from Gary Neville going forward. Because Gary Neville now getting into that job in Valencia, it depends how he does there. He's building up his reputation with his England.
I'm not so sure I agree with you, Gordon. I think they're looking and thinking to themselves, if we time this to perfection, Guardiola could be available in the summer, and then bang, thank you very much to Mr. Van Gaal.
I know what you're saying, Guardiola, but if you're going to get people who are going to have the fans behind them, you're looking at Gary Neville also.
Do you think so? I don't know. I think if I was a player, I'd rather play for.
I think if Pep Guardiola was unveiled with a Manchester United scarf, suddenly you'd be thinking, Roughie, yippee, here comes tiki-taka football and winning football and maybe a chance of the Champions League.
Yeah, certain managers attract certain players, and you have to say that Van Gaal seems to be the regimented Dutch way. You play to a formation, and that's what you do, and that's the kind of player he brings in that don't get beat sort of attitude. But certainly you look at Pep Guardiola's teams, you would think if he was given a budget of what the present Man United manager's got, he would be bringing more attractive players in. He would bring players in that would excite, as Man United supporters have always been brought up in. It doesn't matter who you mention, they've always had right for Ryan Giggs, you've always had somebody who excites, and you look at that Man United team and you can't see anybody that's going to get you off your seat.
No, exactly, and I think they're asking the questions. I mean, even James Wilson and Hernandez have been allowed to leave Manchester United. They're looking for more flair. It just hasn't materialised for them.
No, and especially when you're throwing away points, if you can't win home points, when you're up there challenging at the top of the league, you need to be putting together results. I mean, Man City's result is the only thing that will give a bit of relief to Man United fans, or at least say
should have spurred
they
them
can't
on,
even win it. That should have spurred them on,
before.
Just before we finish, I think it would be remiss of me not to mention the exploits of East Kilbride. What a great win today against Stenhousemuir, Roughie, because knowing the lads and knowing all the work and ambition they have there, I've been in their company on many an occasion, you can tell where their ambitions lie, and to get a scalp like Stenhousemuir is a sensational result, and it's over 2 games as well.
Yeah, and it makes all the hard work, for the last 5, 6, 7 years, starting with all the boys clubs and even girls clubs as well, and getting to that stage, and obviously the new stadium and everything, it just makes everything worthwhile when you get a result like that, and let's fingers crossed they get a really good draw on Wednesday. That's what their ambition will be.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's fantastic for the club.
They have great credit. I mean, Stennismuir are a community club as well, and they do a great job as well in their area. But East Kilbride are an up-and-coming club. They're new. They're working very hard at it, and that's why they deserve a lot of credit. And I agree with the boys. Let's hope that they're getting a good draw and making some good cash for the club to take things forward.
Yeah. Result of the day for you guys?
Oh, I think so. It's just, you can just imagine everybody that's associated with the club, everybody that's hung on in there, obviously in the good times and the bad times, and getting a result like that just makes it worthwhile.
Yep. Yeah. Okay, I do hope you've enjoyed the programme over the 4 hours, and you'll join us again on Saturday 2 o'clock till 6. Hopefully we'll have more games to actually chat about. My heart goes out to a reporter, intrepid reporter Derek Clark. Every match he was going to was called off. It was getting to the point where I was about to utter the words to him, Ross County, which would have been a nightmare for him. Join us this week on Peter and Roughie's Football Show. Of course, Gordon Smith will be with us, Hugh McDonald, Stephen McManus, and also John Robertson, the Hearts legend, will be joining us on the programme. Only one of these guys is going to see Duran Duran, an 80s boy. I wonder, do you think it could be Roughie, Gordon Smith, Macca, or myself? I'm certainly going to enjoy the weekend now. The rest of these three will probably be watching an old movie on STV while I'm dancing away to The Reflex and A View to a Kill. That's all I'm saying to you, Macca. Which one of us has got the good deal over the weekend? I know I feel as if after a great weekend of football, I'm really looking forward to singing Hungry Like the Wolf from everybody here. Thanks for joining us on the programme. All the best.